Their passion for discovery shine through, inspiring both their peers and the esteemed faculty and administrators present. Lord, bless this endeavor that it may serve to enrich the research culture of San Beda University. May it be a platform for fruitful dialogue, the exchange of knowledge, and the cultivation of new discoveries. May this event inspire both presenters and attendees to pursue truth with diligence and integrity, always seeking to use their knowledge for the greater good. We ask this through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Saint Bede, pray for us. Saint Benedict, pray for us. That in all things, God may be glorified. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
To lead us in the recitation of the San Beda Vision and Mission Statement, let us welcome the Director of the Benedictine Mission and Identity Office, Mr. Jerry Anton Flores. Brother Anton, your microphone, please. Brother Anton, kindly unmute your microphone. Thank you.
Ayan. Ano nangyari? Diyos ko naman.
Okay. I think Brother Anton is having some technical difficulties.
Let's just read it together.
Okay.
Julius, we just read it together.
Okay, so we'll just enjoin everyone to read the San Beda Vision and Mission. San Beda University, a Catholic educational institution, is
Is
committed
committed
to the Christian formation
formation
of the
the
Bedan
Bedan
community
as
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 its
its
service
service
to
to
the
the
Church,
Church,
the
the
Philippine
Philippine
society,
society, and the
and the
world.
world.
Vision.
Vision.
San
San
Beda
Beda
University
University
and
envisions
envisions a
a community
community that
as
is
fully human,
fully human,
human,
fully
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 Christian,
Christian,
truly
truly
fully
Filipino,
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 and
globally
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 competitive.
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 Mission.
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 San
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 Beda
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 University
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 aims
aims
to
aims to
to
form
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 its
its
members
members
members in faith,
in
in
faith,
faith,
knowledge,
knowledge,
and
virtue,
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 and
and
and inculcate
inculcate in
inculcate in
them
them
them the
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 Benedictine
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 core
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 values
values
values of
of
prayer and
prayer
work,
prayer,
and work,
ora
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 et
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 labora,
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 that
and
the
that
good study,
study, community,
community,
community
pursuit of
pursuit of
pursuit of
peace.
peace.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you also to Mr. Jerry Anton Flores. To kick off this year's Research Summit, delivering is always inspirational opening remarks. Let us all give a very warm midday in April welcome to San Beda University's Rector President, the very Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan, OSB.
Thank you, Dr. Julius. Greetings of peace to everyone. I say to you, Happy Easter. Christ is risen. Alleluia, alleluia. On behalf of the San Beda University community, I welcome you to the 2025 San Beda University Research Summit with the theme Transformative Research for Sustainable Development in the Year of the Great Jubilee. This year's Research Summit is taking place in the context of the Jubilee year of 2025. His Holiness the late Pope Francis proclaimed this Jubilee year as one that should set us on a journey as pilgrims of hope. At this juncture, may I request everyone to have some moments of silence as we pay tribute and pray for the eternal repose of the soul of His Holiness Pope Francis. Eternal repose grant unto the soul of His Holiness Pope Francis, Lord,
And let
and let
perpetual
perpetual
Shine.
light
light
shine
shine
upon
upon
him.
him.
May he rest in peace.
Amen.
May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. Pope Francis declares that the Jubilee theme is primarily a profound call to spiritual renewal, but is also a call to social, cultural, and even ecological renewal. At the heart of the biblical tradition of Jubilee is the idea of restoration, restoration of relationships, of justice, of balance in creation, of releasing captives, forgiving offenses, debts, and healing, as the Bible would refer to us. For us in San Beda University, as an academic community, the Jubilee year is not simply a liturgical event to celebrate. It is a spiritual framework that challenges us to ask, what must we restore in our own mission as researchers and educators? What must we release, forgive, heal, and renew? The Jubilee is an invitation to make our scholarly pursuits not just excellent, but meaningful, meaning it is a pilgrimage toward a more humane and sustainable future. Today, we are gathered not merely to present findings or showcase academic productivity. We are here because we believe that research can and must play a vital role in shaping a world that is more just, more peaceful, more sustainable, and more hopeful. In a very real sense, engagement in research is a pilgrimage of hope, and a researcher is a pilgrim of hope. For at its core, research is a journey of discovery, of understanding, of solving problems. The impartial search for truth so that the relationship between faith and reason is brought to light and meaning. It shows us that research is indeed a journey that begets hope from our excorde ecclesia. And in the context of the Jubilee year and of the quest for sustainable development, research begets hope if it is essentially takes a transformative impact. Within the context of Catholic University, this mission becomes even more distinct. We do not merely pursue knowledge for knowledge's sake. We pursue knowledge in the service of the dignity of the human person, the common good, the care for creation, and the values of solidarity and subsidiarity. Consistent with what his predecessors have pronounced in their social teachings, Pope Francis, not the least in his encyclical Laudato Si and apostolic exhortation Evangelii Gaudium, has often called for development activities and pastoral engagements that aim for integral human development, where the economics, social, environmental, and spiritual dimensions of life are all seen as interconnected. This integral human development could only be served by research that is ethically grounded and not just methodically sound, interdisciplinary, recognizing the complex realities of the world. It is mission driven, committed to justice, peace, and sustainability. And last but not the least, it is inclusive, listening to the voices of the marginalized, the vulnerable, and the young. In this way, San Beda University and every Catholic university for that matter becomes not just a center of knowledge, but a beacon of hope and a laboratory of solutions for the world's most pressing challenges. Hence, our 2025 Research Summit is a testament to the continuing growth and strength of the San Beda Research Program. It is our hope that the various research papers to be compiled in Research Summit proceedings will motivate us to pursue knowledge in the service of humanity, the common good, the care of creation, while we embody the values of solidarity and subsidiarity. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the faculty researchers who are participating in this afternoon's activity. How I wish I could list your name, but God knows you are all very supportive and deserving to be our research presenters. Your scholarly work affirms our university's commitment to the Benedictine hallmarks of stewardship and community, and to our mission as Catholic institution of higher learning. I also would like to thank the Office of the Research and Innovation, headed by Dr. Fontanilla, and the Research and Development Center, headed by Dr. Ederlin, for organizing our 2025 Research Summit. Good afternoon, and let us enjoy the rest of this afternoon. Happy Easter to everyone. Alleluia, alleluia.
Very well said, Father Aloy, and happy Easter as well. I couldn't agree with you more. The theme of Pilgrimage of Hope is not just a spiritual or theological theme, but also very much related to the research journey. And I wanted to emphasize, to re emphasize rather, your statement that as researchers and as Benedictine educators, let's always remember that in everything we do, in our teaching, research, and even in our everyday lives, how we conduct the journey through our morals, ethics, inclusivity, and sustainability. These are as important as aiming for the optimum destination. And as I always say every year, may research always have favor in the heart of San Beda University. Again, thank you very much, Father Aloy, for always taking part in our annual research summit. We truly hope you, as well as our audience, enjoy the rest of the program. To introduce our plenary speaker, let me welcome to the floor San Beda University's Vice President for Linkages and International Affairs, Dr. Tita Evasco Branzuela.
Easter greetings to our dear Father Rector President, Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan of the Order of Saint Benedict, Dr. Fernandino Jose Fontanilla, Vice President for Research and Innovation, Dr. Divina Edralin, Vice President for Academics and Director of Research and Development Center, SBU administrators, faculty, staff, students, esteemed research presenters and moderators, friends and guests, a pleasant and blessed afternoon, dearest pilgrims of hope. I have the honor to introduce our plenary speaker for this Research Summit 2025. Today, this afternoon, we are privileged to have with us the Dean, School of Applied Sciences, Professor of Biotechnology, Director of International Relations and Research Collaboration, and Research Center of Reva University, India. Prior to these academic and research positions, he was also the head for non-communicable diseases for research, faculty research coordinator, head of Internationalization Center at the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences at the University Malaysia in Sabah. With diverse and impressive academic and research portfolio, he led initiatives as founding deputy director and director of the Center of Excellence at the Institute of Food Security and Sustainable Agriculture, as well as the founding chairman for Animal Ethics Committee at University Malaysia, Kelantan. Notably, he has worked in different academic institutions and universities in India, South Korea, and Malaysia. He got travel and research grants as well, and served as visiting researcher in Japan, Macau, Indonesia, and Thailand. Thus, his many significant contributions to global research and knowledge exchange. In groundbreaking outputs has resulted in over 120 publications in high-impact international journals and numerous book contributions with leading publishers such as Springer and Elsevier. He currently serves as editorial and review board member for globally respected high-impact journals, including titles under the Nature Publishing Group, all of which are in line with sustainable development, particularly good health and well-being, ensuring research-based and transformative knowledge for all. His dedication has earned him numerous accolades, including the Young Scientist Award, Young Researcher Award, Best Faculty in Biotechnology, and multiple Excellent Service Awards, both national and international levels. He was given recognition by Elsevier for his outstanding contributions as a peer reviewer. In addition, our plenary speaker continues to set benchmarks in research integrity and academic service, as recognized by Elsevier as well for being an outstanding contributor in 3 high-impact journals, such as Critical Reviews in Oncology, Material Sciences and Engineering, Magnetic Science and Materials. Aside from his professional academic achievements, research engagements, and awards, he is also a passionate mentor, expert, having delivered numerous local and international keynote, plenary talks, lectures, in conferences, including ours today. And so, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, let us wholeheartedly welcome and look forward to possible collaboration with our dear Dr. Pasu Poleti Viswara Rao.
A very good morning to the management of San Beda, especially Professor Fernandino Jos Fontanilla and Professor Tita Evesco Branzuela, and the complete management, especially Reverend Father, for having me here for Research Week with the topic Transformative Research Exploring Sustainable Development in the Great Jubilee Year. Prof. Tita, it is my immense pleasure to talk to the audience here at the Research Week for San Beda University. First of all, my deepest gratitude to the management of San Beda University, as I continuously try to support at my level for any kind of occasions like this. Let me give you a gist of transformative research, how it can explore the possibilities in sustainable development goals or even sustainable development of certain areas in this particular Great Jubilee year. Exactly, we understand transformative research refers to a systematic research approach that seeks to change the existing paradigms. Whenever we are trying to understand any research perspectives or even transformative researches or translational research, certainly the understanding is most important, and the applications through various technologies, especially now we talk about artificial intelligence, now we talk about data analysis, now we talk about various kinds of technologies. So mainly we have to clearly understand the innovative methodologies and innovative applications, how we try to inculcate and how we try to understand and how we try to practice them in our regular research to make it more sustainable. Nowadays, as every one of us understands the criticality and importance of sustainability, every technology today it is booming, tomorrow it is not. Yesterday it was booming, today it is not. So technology changes every now and then. So the professors, lecturers and teachers, we all have to be so up to date about what is happening related to the technologies, related to the environment and related to the sustainable, how long this particular technology will help us to be in the limelight or to be in the competition. See, there is lots of healthy competition in the world at the moment, where every university tries to be at the top with their research credentials, with their academic strength and with their total amenities what they have, which are the metrics for the quality of education. Another important point which we have to clearly understand is the quality education or quality research and research practices, finally research culture. When we don't have the practices at the beginning, then we cannot discuss about any topic anywhere, and we cannot go anywhere in the ladder when competing with the world universities. It is not about just competition, it's about nurturing the young minds. What exactly is transformative research? What exactly is, sustainable development? How you have to maintain the sustainability of a program? How you have to make the students or the faculty fraternity to be sustainable on par with international standards. So it also addresses various kinds of societal changes, societal challenges, because there are lots of changes happening in the society. And again, it's not only the change, it is also the challenge by integrating various disciplines, promoting active stakeholder engagements, and also various knowledge components which directly and indirectly contributes to sustainable development objectives. When we talk about sustainable development, it is just not only about one particular area or one particular discipline or one particular information. It is all about the multidisciplinary areas. It is all about interdisciplinary areas. It is all about collaborations. It is all about how we are, proceeding further to make this transformative research to be more sustainable and also leads to sustainable development of the society. It all starts from a small place, and it grows bigger and bigger, and it has to reach to the world. That's why every individual, we have to contribute to the sustainable development of the cities, of the towns, of the districts, of the state, of the country, finally of the world. Let us understand the key methodologies in transformative research. The main methodologies, what exactly are the underpinning transformative research, often include: number one is participatory action research, systems thinking, and transdisciplinary frameworks. Mainly, whatever we talk, whichever research we talk about, say for example, San Beda must be having wonderful facilities. Somewhere in 2016, I was there for 5 days in San Beda. What a wonderful facilities you have. And then you also probably will be collaborating, or possibly you have collaborations with various institutions across the globe, where you can depend on them or they can depend on you. It's a win-win situation, which means in a nutshell, I would like to inform you about the collaborative research to promote lots of collaborations, to promote various multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, as well as interdisciplinary frameworks to happen in the university. First of all, we should have that eagerness, and also we should have that zeal to have these particular transformative research methodologies, what exactly to be prepared and what exactly to be followed. Mainly collaborations, when I talk about, as you might have seen that I mainly take care of applied and allied health sciences as the dean, and majorly international relations and research collaborations. So collaborations is the key area, and it's very, very, very mandatory across the globe nowadays to nurture our own students and faculty fraternity, or even the university setup, to enhance by its quality, let it be by academic quality, let it be by publication quality in terms of research, let it be by patent quality, by experiencing and also implementing the research practices or research culture in the university. Let us observe one of the case studies what I have mentioned here. There are lots of case studies across the globe have been identified and have been exemplified in the world, and also lots of countries, they practice it very, very regularly to have this sustainability, and also to communicate to the people properly to overcome the challenges in sustainability. Example I have given here about renewable energies. Now across the world, every country is talking about the renewable energy, and which have led to the development of innovative technologies that reduce emissions while promoting economic growth. Where if you take India, if you take the other world countries, Now they always talk about environment, they talk about renewable energy, they talk about artificial intelligence. These are the buzzwords now. These are the very important topics at the moment which can sustain for some more time. We cannot predict how many years, because as I have mentioned in the previous slide as well, the technologies upgrade every now and then. The technologies even sometimes change. Such a transformative changes, such a translational changes are happening in the technologies, in the existing technologies, whereby we have to be very clear and very thorough with what exactly we have to do. Similarly, the research focus on urban sustainability also has resulted in greener infrastructure and also improved community well-being by integrating ecological and social considerations. These two very important things which we have to understand and which we have to practice is always about ecological safety, ecological considerations, social considerations, how we have to mingle with people, in order to have more greener, healthy relationships. And another thing in this picture you can also observe, which it's a multi-component picture where you can see the urbanization, you can see the greenery part also, where you have lots of plants you can observe there. You can see different types of vertical farming also in some of the areas of the picture you can observe, which means nowadays the humans are trying to encroach the land and build the buildings, or even we are trying to give lesser importance for the greenery, whereas the developed countries and also advanced countries, they have less, if they have very less land area, then they are encouraging them to grow the greenery within the premises of that limited area. Otherwise, the highly populating countries like India, the every day the requirement of the houses or the requirement of the buildings are increasing day by day. So to meet that requirement, demand and ratio, people are trying to build more houses and try to encroach more land so that the greenery is becoming low. So that's where these kind of innovative technologies, where the greener infrastructures provides a sustainable development or the sustainable culture in that particular premises. So here you can observe, this is mainly to balance the economic growth, social inclusion and environmental protection. Whenever we talk about sustainability or whenever we talk about sustainable development goals, which are again every one of the institutions across the world are practicing in a very, very, very depth manner to be in line with sustainable development goals, where every sustainable development goal is focusing on each and every area. Some sustainable development goals are on no poverty, some are of health of various organisms can be on the land and under the water, even sustainability, urban cities, urbanization. So lots of things they discuss and they deal with. So as a responsible citizen, we also need to understand how these sustainable development goals or how the sustainability in development will try to understand or will try to give you an answer for the sustainable future. This only with the efforts must ensure fair resource distribution among, here we can also understand about equity, equality as well. How you are being treated, how you are being treated or how you are treating the others with various resources, so that if we have 100% of resources, the governments or the agencies should clearly understand how this particular population is required, the funding requirements or even any resources for that matter. Let it be grains, let it be food resources, let it be we have to talk about food security and food insecurity. So the equal distribution of the resources is one of the most important factor where we can have this sustainability at place. And also participation involving stakeholders, and also precautions, taking precautions. It's not about, once the danger happens you take the actions. That is a different thing. What mitigation technologies we have in order to have this resources distribution fairly, but also we should have this mitigation process, not to overburden the population, not to enhance the poverty lines. We have to develop the improvement in the poverty lines. It's not about increasing the number of poverty individuals or number of poor people in the country. So we have to try to reduce the number of poor people, or we have to give more economical living for the people. We have to think in those lines where the sustainable resources, sustainable practices are practiced, so that we can give appropriate livelihood to the people. So that is where even environment comes into the picture. Majority of the times, if you observe in several countries, there are lots of man-made mistakes which disturbs the environment. Deforestation. Sometimes you observe, there is lots of fire in the forest. How it happens? It's all because of the man-made problems. So we have to clearly understand how we can reduce them and the mitigation process, and also once it happens, how we can reduce it and then get rid of it, how we can also avoid having more damages for the environment. So interdisciplinary approaches and multidisciplinary approaches and also transdisciplinary approaches are the ways to sustainable practices, and also only the way to have more sustainable practices and more sustainable environment with these particular approaches. So these are very essential, as I was mentioning, in sustainable development, as they integrate various insights from different fields such as economics, environmental sciences and social sciences. Let me give you an example. Somewhere in 2020, we have soon after everybody was affected by, or was getting affected by COVID-19, then we thought, okay, let us give some solutions through academic matters. Then we thought of a book called COVID-19, various kinds of problems we have discussed in it. We also have given very clear things on economic, how COVID impacted economics of the world, how the transformation of COVID virus into the human body, and we also have given what kind of treatments probably, because that time it was only an assumption and nanotechnology can give you an answer for it. So environmental factors, how social distancing, how you have to maintain yourself, cleanliness, so many things we learned. I'm just giving you an example from one of the recently pandemic, what shook the world. And social sciences, how these social sciences aspects, because majority of the social sciences areas and disciplines, they directly deal with the humans. Even science and technology, we have lots of technologies where directly or indirectly they deal with the human beings, but social sciences, they always be with the surveys and also deal with the human beings very directly. So that is where in previous slide also I was mentioning collaborations. It's interdepartmental. Say for example, one particular individual or a professor from Department of Engineering or Department of Computer Science Engineering or from biotechnology, they should first collaborate within the department, which is interdepartmental, intradepartmental, and interdepartmental. They can also have collaborations with different departments. Biotechnology can go to the computer science can go to the social sciences can go to economics. So various, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. When few departments or multi-departments come together, do the research to address a serious problem which exists in the world, is called as multidisciplinary research. So multidisciplinary approach is also very, very important to have this sustainability across the world, and also to have this sustainable development in the society. Societal and economic impacts of sustainable solutions. So here, if you observe, we have given few points, especially how to prioritize the sustainable practices, what I was mentioning earlier. The communities can experience enhanced quality of life, which is very, very important. Quality of life. Nowadays, if you observe, various reasons and various pockets of different countries are very much deprived of this quality of life. Let it be a deprivation of the food, let it be deprivation of education, let it be various factors, financial conditions. However, we have to prioritize the sustainable practices where communities should experience this great quality of life. And also job creation in greener sectors, where green environment, greener technologies in producing the batteries or green technologies, whatever you take, if it is safe and sustainable, we can call them as green sectors and reduce poverty levels. Wherever there is something which we can contribute to reduce the poverty in the society or in the locality where we live, then that is certainly a major achievement. It is not that always the government or the public or the private organizations or funding agencies should do. Every individual, we have the particular right to contribute to eradicate or reduce, if not eradicate, to reduce the poverty levels in the particular region, particular locality, particular town, particular city. Then it goes up to the state. Again, as I was mentioning, once state is good, it goes to the different states, and then once every state has reduction in poverty, the country will have less poverty rate, so that we can observe the statistics and the drastic change in the statistics as well. Another thing which I have clearly mentioned in red color statement, sustainable approaches also contribute to long-term economic resilience by minimizing risks associated with environmental degradation and also resource depletion. So where we should clearly understand how we can show the resilience when we have everything in a platter, then you can show that, okay, I'm now very much happy with the thing. But when you do not have things, and then you have to face the same environment or same consequences, then the resilience, long-term economic resilience by minimizing risks associated with environment degradation. Environment involves everywhere. It is not a subject of matter for only sciences. It is a matter of discussion point for economics. It's a matter for pollution. It's a matter for social sciences. It's a matter for medicine. So what not you take, everything, it's completely depending on environment and resources. When you have resources, the quality of life or the research what you do or the education what you get is completely different. When you are depleting or when you are deprived with resources, then certainly the quality of life is not there. Then you don't have quality education, then you don't have quality academics, you don't have quality research. Finally, we cannot contribute to the nation at a expected level. Innovation in research methods, where we have to also understand how these new technologies play a bigger role in various kinds of innovations, and also the methodology changes and the upgradations in the technologies, as I mentioned earlier as well. Advances in data analytics, artificial intelligence, and also participatory research practices to sustainable resources. always we have to understand what is new technology coming in. Say for example, I'm a biotechnologist and I also work more into biomedical sciences to work on metabolic diseases, pharmacology areas. Always should understand how the technologies are changing in the field to bring newness to the research, and so that it can benefit the organizations, it can benefit the societies as well. Interdisciplinary collaboration is very important. It is not that we cannot be in silos, we cannot be within a narrow down research areas. We have to work sciences, engineering, technology, social sciences, arts, humanities, everything. All subjects are very important, all disciplines are very important to have a sustainable development goals, to have a sustainable nation, and everything will lead to a sustainability for the future. Not only that, impact on policy and societies also. The research whatever we do can inform legislation, guide funding priorities, and shape public opinion on critical sustainable issues, where funding agencies certainly fund the educational institutions or even some of the private organizations to do the quality research, to provide a quality results, and so that they can improvise the quality of the people, and engaging stakeholders throughout the research process ensures that findings are relevant and actionable. So majority of the times we cannot be in euphoric condition, we cannot be in so demanding in getting the funds or demanding in identifying the funds. We should have the quality research, and the points what we raise or the objectives what we put up should be actionable, and also to promote real world problems as well as applications. So these are three main principles of sustainability: equity, environmental integrity, and economic viability. So certainly when we have all these things in place, we have a proper setup for sustainability. Importance of sustainable development: it is just not only generates a new knowledge, but also facilitates the implementation of sustainable practices. So as earlier slides goes on, I was mentioning about these main things: environmental practices, research, academics, quality of life, sustainability, greener environment, greener technologies, artificial intelligence, because the sustainability always depends on the developments in the current scenarios, developments in the subject areas, developments in the the regular practices what we do. Global challenges and solutions: sustainable development faces various global challenges such as climate change, resource depletion, and social inequality, where we have discussed very clearly about these things, and these are the challenges where we can give the solutions through renewable energy adoptions, sustainable agriculture practices, and also comprehensive social policies, where a strong policy can lead the country with very focused and very visionary manner, so that we can have lots of economic benefits. And in these economic implications, the transformative research plays an important role. Mainly you can observe optimizing resource allocations. As earlier also there was a point about the fairness in resource allocations, fund providing, or even food security issues, addressing the food security issues, or addressing the poverty reduction issues, and enhancing operational efficiency as well, to be a parameter for economic benefits. Measuring success in sustainability: clear metrics and indicators we have to take into the consideration across environmental, social, and economic dimensions. Finally, it's contributing to the sustainable development goal frameworks, where every one of us are very clear with what exactly the sustainable development goals do. Policy and governments, earlier the government should have proper governance and also proper policies in place where they can prioritize integrating sustainable development, smart cities, urbanization without harming the nature, without harming the environment, and also to have environmental factors. uh, and also some of the challenges include bureaucratic inertia, lack of interdisciplinary collaborations. So these things have to be in place to have more, sustainability to be seen in the proper areas or localities. Collaborative approaches. It is not only always academic research can help the people, but government also should play a bigger role, and also industry also should play a bigger role, helping the organizations, helping the universities to have more and more research and also more problems to get solutions. Funding and resources. Securing adequate funding is one of the sources. Diverse financing avenues, fostering connections with funding bodies. Maybe these are the fundamental aspects where primary and secondary or even tertiary collaborators should do that. Public engagement is one of the main thing. I think say if some of the audiences are from public health and social sciences, where you understand the importance of outreach programs, where I was working with medical school in Malaysia last time. So we used to do lots of outreach programs. Even for STEM programs, we do lots of outreach programs. Excuse me. And where collaboration was the only key area. That is what the mantra we follow. Let me conclude as the time is approaching. Transformative research always plays a crucial role in advancing sustainable development by fostering innovation and collaborative efforts. I suggest the younger generation to have these collaborations starting from your intra-departmental, interdepartmental, multi-departmental, and you can reach to your nation. You can also reach to the international partnerships. With this, once again, I sincerely thanks to Prof. Tita Evesco Branzuela and the complete management of the father for providing me an opportunity to be here with you virtually for this research week. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rao, for your very insightful talk. I fully agree that being adaptive and ever in the quest for new knowledge is of utmost importance in innovation. And we can again tie this up with the concept of pilgrim of hope. So, as we undergo our education and research journey, we need to keep our minds open to accept new information. So, particularly those that are participatory, transdisciplinary, collaborative, and even ecological, and to reevaluate older information in order to change our existing paradigm. So hopefully for a more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive community, country, in the world. Now we'd like to recognize in our audience our plenary speaker, Dr. Pasupuleti Viswesvara Rao. And if Dr. Rao, are you in the call?
Yeah. Hi. Good.
Good afternoon
Good
po. Good
afternoon. I'm
afternoon,
here.
Dr. Rao. If you
Yeah.
don't mind,
Hi, Prof. Tita.
if you don't mind, Dr. Rao, may we ask a few questions for you to follow up on your presentation?
Sure, please. Sure,
Okay.
sure.
So we have two questions. I have one general and one very technical question. Let's start with the technical question. Um, so since newer technology, particularly artificial intelligence, have some conflict with sustainability, primarily due to its very high energy and water usage, how do you think this will affect our thrust for transformative but sustainable research? Professor Rao? Oh, I think his connection dropped. Okay, so maybe we can
Oh, he's back.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
I think there was some technical glitch. I'm sorry about it.
Oh, no
Can I
problem.
have the questions now?
Okay. So, Dr. Rao, so my first technical question is artificial, you mentioned something about artificial intelligence earlier, and it's quite a buzzword right now. However,
Exactly.
there is some conflict with artificial intelligence, particularly with sustainability, as it uses a lot of energy and water. So, how do you think this will affect our thrust for transformative but sustainable research if we engage with artificial intelligence in research?
Exactly. That's a wonderful question. I would like to emphasize a bit on artificial intelligence in terms of environment and energy usage. Recently, we have had a big podcast with one of the energy researchers, specifically on this particular topic. And even the researcher was clearly mentioning that artificial intelligence has its own pros and cons. It cannot work, by its own. Again, we have to give certain, clear prompting to artificial intelligence applications to give us appropriate results. So certainly, we have to depend on the standard and traditional technologies to have better strength in sustainability and also to be aligned with sustainable development goals.
Thank you very much. So I think, in a nutshell, even with the use of artificial intelligence technology, we have to also be very specific about it and not wasteful. Now,
Exactly.
the next question is, it's a phone-in question.
Hmm.
What kind of support school administrators must provide to ensure faculty will undertake transformative research for sustainable development?
Yeah, as if you observe the clear content, what I have provided in my slides, the transformative research, which you have to, update with the methodologies, and you also have this collaborative research. So earlier it was only narrow down research for a specific subject. Now that particular culture is no more. Only the basic research is having in fundamental, ideologies to bring out. However, otherwise, all applied related research is completely into transformative research, and the researchers should definitely look into the intra-departmental and interdepartmental collaborations, and thereby we can open up the mindset of the individuals and the researchers to have broader perspective of the research so that the results or expected outcomes will be more. Even the results what we get will have high impact on the societal change or societal it will have bigger impact on the society, as well as the research areas. Let it be social sciences, I was mentioning in my slides. Let it be social sciences or STEM related programs. If we have multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, the impact is always high, so that we can also try to give more results to the different types of people. If social sciences, medical sciences, and engineering sciences, if they collaborate with each other, the outcome will give the more purpose to the and will serve more purpose to several audiences at a larger scope.
Thank you very much. That is very enlightening. I really like your answer that it's
Thank you.
all about efficiency. It's all about not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but providing
Exactly.
support for participatory, transdisciplinary, collaborative research.
True.
Thank you very much. Dr. Rao, would you be willing to share your talk to the participants, your slide deck to the participants of this session?
Sure. Certainly. I don't have any reservations to share the information.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Rao, especially for your
Thank
time
you.
in answering our questions and for a very timely message to the participants of this research summit.
Certainly. Anytime for Sunbeda. And special thanks to Prof. Thita for having me here and for giving me the opportunity.
So to present the certificate of appreciation to our plenary speaker, let me call on our Vice President for Academics and the Director of the San Beda University Research and Development Center, Dr. Divina Edrelin.
Thank you, Julius. before I read the certificate of appreciation, let me thank again Dr. Rao. Thank you so much for the very inspiring talk, and it's really very comprehensive. It covers a lot of
Thank you.
things, no, especially the sustainability part, which is really the trust of Sanbeda. So in that case, I hope the faculty researchers are able to pick up from many of your suggestions based on your experience as a as a researcher and consultant. Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let me now read the certificate. San Beda University, Office of the Research and Innovation and Research and Development Center, Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is hereby bestowed upon Dr. Pasupoleti Visweswara Rao for his valuable inputs as plenary speaker during the San Beda University Research Summit 2025 on the theme Transformative Research for Sustainable Development in the Year of the Great Jubilee. Given this 25th of April 2025 at San Beda University, Mendiola, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Divina M. Edrelin, Director for Research and Development Center, Dr. Fernandino Jose A. Fontanilla, Vice President for Research and Innovation, and very Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan, OSB Rector President. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Let's give Dr. Rao a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm humbled.
Thank you, Dr. Edrelin, Dr. Rao. So before we proceed, we invite everyone for a quick photo op. So please,
Dr. Rao.
please open your webcams for a moment while our moderators take our gallery screenshots.
Hope
Please
my
hold your
background is
smiles.
okay. Okay.
So please hold your smiles. To our Zoom hosts, please let us know if we're done.
We're done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Tita, Prof. Divina Ederin, and also the host, MC. You have very handsome MC.
Thank
So,
you.
so I may leave with
Yes.
all your permission. And please convey my regards to Reverend Father.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Again,
Yeah.
thank you very much to our plenary speaker, Dr. Pasupuleti Visveswara Rao. The annual Research Summit is not just a gathering of scientific minds and outputs. Every year, the artistic merits of our San Beda community is also showcased through a segment of creative presentations. It is my honor to welcome you to this momentous occasion as we celebrate a remarkable milestone in the Department of Languages and Literature. Today, we proudly launch a creative book publication that showcases the collaborative brilliance of two of our very own faculty members, Doctors Larry Javier Ambion and Professor Dennis Mangubat, along with selected students whose talents have added vibrant voices to this meaningful work. This book, which will be shown on screen, is more than just a compilation of creative texts. It is a testament to the power of mentorship, imagination, and shared storytelling. What makes this project even more exciting is that it extends beyond the page and into the screen with a companion film entitled Balangao. Balangao, meaning rainbow, serves as a beautiful metaphor for this creative journey, one that bridges generations, genres, and forms of expression. It represents the spectrum of voices and visions that came together to breathe life into both the publication and the film. Let us take a moment to appreciate the artistry, collaboration, and dedication behind this endeavor. Please join me in applauding the creative minds behind this project, Dr. Larry Javier Ambion, Professor Dennis Mangubat, and the outstanding students who contributed to this inspiring work.
Sa pag-ulan, may bahagharing lumilitaw. Sa ating wika, tinatawag itong balangaw. Isang sagisag ng pag-asa, ng pagkakaiba, at ng pagkakaisa. Ang balangaw ay hindi lamang isang likas na hiwaga sa kalangitan. Ito'y isang sagisag ng kasarian at sexualidad. Isang pagpapaalaala na tulad ng mga kulay sa bahaghari. Ang bawat isa ay may sariling liwanag, sariling anyo at sariling halaga. Walang kulay ang nangingibabaw sapagkat sa kanilang pagkasanib, lumilikha sila ng isang tanawing puno ng sigla at hiwaga.
Sa panitikan, ang balangaw ay isang tulay. Isang koneksyon sa pagitan ng realidad at imahinasyon, ng tradisyon at pagbabago, ng tinig at ng adhikay. Ang mga likhang salita sa palabas na ito ay mga refleksyon ng paninindigan ng mga may akda para sa pagkakapantay-pantay at pagiging inklusibo. Sa aming mga kwento, tula, pagsasalaysay, aming isinasabuhay ang diwa ng balangaw na malaya, makulay, at may puwang para sa lahat.
Sa bawat pagsubok, natutunan niyang gawing laro ang hamon, yakapin ang pagkakamali, at gawing inspirasyon ang tagumpay. Tulad ng balangaw, matapos ang unos, natutunan niyang ang tagumpay ay hindi lang nasa sarili, kundi sa sama-samang pagsulong. Ganda-gandahan, katha ni Larry Javier Ambion, isinadula ni Sam Soriano.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako'y narito ngayon, hindi nakikiuso ha, hindi lamang bilang isang proud na miyembro na may kakaibang sexualidad, kundi bilang isang masigasig at determinadong maestro ng isang departamento ng papalawig ng kuda, prosa at kung anik-anik na tula. Alam kong hindi naging madali ang aking paglalakbay, lalo nung umpisa ng pandemic, isang panahong puno ng pagbabago, teknolohikal na hamon at kakaibang stress sa online mode. Pero gaya ng anumang laro, bawat level ay may dalang sariling challenge at reward. Yung minsan isipin mo na, basta process lang kileme. Naaalala ko pang unang araw ng trabaho ng pandemic? Para na sa isang virtual maze ako. Mga email na walang katapusan, mga online meetings na puno ng glitches, at mga virtual correspondences na tila isang laro ng spot the error. Ngunit, sa kabila ng lahat ng iyon, hindi ako sumuko. Sa halip sinabayan ko ito ng buong puso at determinasyon. Laro tayo, ganda-gandahan, ang naging motto ko. Dahil naniniwala ako sa bawat magkakamali, may nakatagong pagkakataon para matuto at mag-grow. Yung tatanggapin mong laitin ka na, try harder, besh. Unang-una, kinailangan ko makipag-adjust sa isang sistema na hindi ko pa lubos na kasanayan. Ngunit, sa bawat araw na lumipas, unti-unti kong natutunan ng tamang taktika. Parang pag-aaral ng bagong game mechanics. Natutunan ko ang halaga ng pagiging flexible at open-minded. Sa kabila ng mga technical na problema, nagawa kong hubugin ang isang work environment na hindi lang basta functional, kundi masaya at supportive. Isinabuhay ko ang prinsipyo na ang pagbabago ay hindi hadlang kundi sa pagkakataon para maging mas malikhain. Sa buhay, tinuruan tayo ng mga hamon na maging resilient. Tinuruan tayo na ang bawat pagsubok ay parang isang laro. May mga obstacles, may mga level na mahirap lampasan. Ngunit kapag nagtiwala ka sa sarili at iyong mga kasama, walang imposibleng malampasan. At kahit na minsan may mga pagkakataon, natutulala ka na at natatakot sa susunod na level, tandaan na ang bawat pagtalo ay bahagi ng proseso tungo sa tagumpay. Laro tayo, ganda-gandahan. Huwag tayong matakot maglaro, magkamali at magtagumpay. Sa bawat laban, sa bawat level, kasama natin ang bawat isa. Tara na, laro tayo at sabay nating baguhin ang mundo. Isang masayang tagumpay sa bawat hakbang. Tingin ko, okay lang i-admit kong ang ganda ko kaya.
Sa isang lipunang madalas humusga, isang individual ang lumaki na may tinig na pilit pinatahimik ng takot at pangmamaliit. Sa bawat hakbang, nakasabay ang panghuhusga, mga salitang tila latay sa laman, mga matang puno ng pagdududa. Ngunit sa kabila ng unos, natagpuan niya ang kanyang lakas at tinig sa loob ng silid-aralan. Hindi lamang bilang isang guro ng kaalaman, kundi bilang isang tagapagtaguyod ng paggalang at pagtanggap. Sa kabila ng kulay ng baghari na kinatha ni Larry Javier Ambion at isinadula ni John Henry Villena.
Sa unang pagdapo ng liwanag sa balat, kasabay ang pag-usbong ng kamalayang payak. Naramdaman ko na ako'y kakaiba, isang tinig na pilit ikinukubli ng takot at pag-aalangan. Sa bawat hakbang sa landas ng kabataan, may mga matang humusga, may mga salitang parang latay sa laman. Bakla! Salot! Kakaiba! At sa bawat pag-ibig na aking pinangarap, laging may aninong bumubulong. Hindi ka karapat-dapat. Ngunit, hindi ako nagpatalo sa unos. Pinasan ko ang bigat ng pagdududa, ginawang sandata ang bawat pangmamaliit, hinubog ng sakit ang aking tapang. At sa harap ng pisara, doon ko natagpuan ang aking tinig. Isang guro, hindi lang ng salita't numero, kundi ng pag-unawa at paggalang. Sa bawat aral na aking ibinabahagi, ipinapanday ko ang pag-asang hindi ko noon natamasa. Ngayon, ako'y nakatindig ng taas noo. Sa ilalim ng bahagharing di na kayang baliwalain. Tagumpay ang sagot sa kanilang pag-aalipusta at pag-ibig ang tugon sa kanilang puot. Ako'y guro, ako'y bakla, ako'y tao. At sa kabila ng lahat ng kanilang sinabi, narito ako, malaya, minamahal, matagumpay.
Ang tulang ito ay isang masalimuot, ngunit makulay na paglalakbay sa mundo ng isang bading. Puno ng kawayang katotohanan, aliw, at mga personal na pakikibaka. Sa kabila ng kinang, kilay, at kolorete, nakalantad dito ang mas malalim na tanong ng identidad at pagtanggap. Hindi lang mula sa lipunan, kundi pati na rin sa sariling komunidad. Isa itong tinig ng paghahanap ng puwang sa mundong madalas ay kulang sa kulay para sa mga tulad niya. Araw-araw, isang tula na kinatha at isinadula ni Denver Provido.
Lumipas na ang ilang taon. Embay pa rin ang mga nota at merlat sa aming mga Becky Bells at Shibboleth. Ang rainbow na dating 7, ngayon ay 1 hums na. Bakla ko pa bang matatawag ang sarili ko? Mismong kasapi ko nang nagsasabi na hindi. Ang dati kong pakending-kending sa entablado, panay halakhakan at katatawanan ang hatid. Pero was sa totoong nais ibahagi. Ang pagkatao, ang pagkabading, ang pagiging iba sa mundong itim at puti. Inuumaga ng uwi, naglalakihang bulsa sa ilalim ng mga mata. Ang bati sa akin ay, kamusta ang nota sa Adonis, ses? Di ko na betchiwa makipag-antsahan sa mukhang fish kong friend. Pumasok at nilock ko ang pinto. Hilamos gamit ang St. Ives Apricot Scrub. Pahid ng toner at moisturizer. Konting ahit ng kilay para pantay. Tanging haplos lang ng aking mga kamay ang naglilimahid ng pag-ibig na hindi kayang ibahagi ng nakakarami. Awake na ang Reyna. Kailangan na magbuhos ng tubig galing sa balon. Mag-scrub-scrub gamit ang Kojic para ma-maintain ang puti at kinis ng mga pisngi. Powder ang fez para di oily at mumog ng Listerine para fresh ang breath. Susuotin na ang polo, slacks na kulay itim. Salamin na black ang frame, pabangong DNG. Dala ang motor, vroom vroom ang bilis. Gandang umaga sir, bati ng Borta na guard. Akyat na si Queen para sa work. Ang hand ay dumating sa kwarto. Ako'y tumayo at rumampa palabas. LV na satchel ang aking bitbit. Habang amoy rosas na umahalimuyak again from DNG. Wala nang retouch, gora na agad pauwi. Gown kong pink na may glitters. Joshua sa tour na ang dating. Kolorete sa pisngi at labi para profound ang pagkabading. Konting tape para ang nota ay maging merlat. Stockings na rin kasi nalimutan dalhin ang panghait sa tanghalan. Harurot na ang Becky Bells habang gising pa ang gabi. Linya ng mga patron at patronesa ang happenings tonight. May keme ang front act bago kami, ngunit nag-iisang sigaw ng madla. Ilabas nyo na ang bading. Gusto na namin makita si Tin.
Hindi dapat ikahon ang kasarian sa kulay. Ang asul at kalimbahin ay simbolo lamang, hindi sukatan ng pagkatao. Ang tunay na halaga ng tao ay wala sa kulay, kundi nasa paggalang, pagtanggap, at pagkakapantay-pantay. Sa isang mundong puno ng iba't ibang kulay, nararapat lang na lahat ay may puwang, may boses, at may karapatang mabuhay ng malaya. Kalimbahin at asul, isang tula na kinatha ni Dennis Mangubat na isinadula ni Gian Alexis Ariola.
Ang asul daw ay ang kulay ng kalalakihan. Kalimbahin naman sa kababaihan. Sa pagkakaalam ko, sa baghari ang kanilang kinabibilangan at hindi takapagbigay definisyon ng mga kasarian. Kulay ang magbibigay ningning sa isang mundong madilim. Ngunit ito rin ang bubulag sa mga mailap tumingin. Parang araw na tinatalikuran kapag nasisilaw. Bulag-bulagan sa karapatan at pantay-pantay na pagtanaw. Kung kulay lamang ang basehan ng respeto sa kasarian, marahil respeto ang problema at ang kulang sa iilan. Hayaang maging baghari ang baghari. Hayaan ang kulay maging kulay. Hayaan ang babaeng maging asul at kalimbahin sa isa. Hayaang maging malaya ang taong maging sino siya. Ang kulay ng kasarian ay hindi lamang dalawa, hindi rin 4 o 7, kundi mas marami pa. Mapakahel, pula, berde o dilaw. Pakitaan ang lahat ng kulay ng pantay-pantay na pagtanaw.
Minsan, kahit gaano natin pinilit kalimutan ang isang pag-ibig, nananatili pa rin ang apoy nito sa alaala. Ang tulang ito ay sumasalamin sa sakit ng pagbitaw sa isang pagmamahalang ipinaglaban pero hindi na kinayang ipaglaban pa. Sa dulo, natutunan nating hindi lahat ng mahal natin ay kaya nating panatilihin. At minsan, ang tunay na tapang ay ang pagtanggap na tapos na. Lalaki ako, nagpakalalaki ako. Isang maikling kwento na kinatha at isinadula ni John Vinci Pascogin.
Pwede bang hindi na kita lapitan? Pagmamasdan na lang, alam mo na naman aking nararamdaman.
Pinilas ko ang mga pahinang walang laman upang hindi na masulatan pa. Binura ko ang mga letrang bumubuo sa nakasulat na kasaysayang kasama ka. Binasa ko pa ang baga upang hindi na mag-init pa. Ngunit minsan, pilit na hinihipan pa rin sa pag-asang ito'y liliyab pa. Buong buhay ko inintay ang mga sandaling meron tayong dalawa. Ngunit nang mapasakin, ako pa mismo ang kumawala. Akala ko ikaw ng lalaking hindi ko ipauubaya sa iba. Pero dumating tayo sa puntong ikaw pa ang kumailangang magparaya. Oo, lalaki ako na nagmahal ng kapwa. At bilang lalaki, sinubukan kong protektahan ka kahit ako ang mas mahina. Bilang lalaki, binilhan kita ng mga hinihingi ko sa iyong bulaklak na ni minsan di ko natanggap sa buo nating pagsasama. Bilang lalaki, nangako akong maging ilaw ng bubuuin nating tahanan sa Baguio pagbukod natin sa ating pamilya. Pero bilang lalaki, bakit di mo ako nagawang ipaglaban nung ako na ang nahihirapan? Parehas lalaki, ngunit mga walang paninindigan. Kaya't patawarin mo ako. Minahal naman kita ng lubusan. Kaso sa sobrang sugatan, ako na mismo ang napasuko sa laban. Minsan kong inakala na ikaw na ang aking paroroonan. Akala ko ikaw na ang kubaw na aking mababalik-balikan. Pero walang ibang pwedeng gawin kundi tanggaping hanggang dito na lang. Ang ating wagas na kasiyahang biglaang nagwakas na parabang sa ligaw na balay, tinamaan.
Pwede bang hindi na rin kita kausapin? Ang hirap na kasing magkunwaring hindi ka iniiro.
Tulad ng awiting Ebony and Ivory na nagpapakita ng harmonya sa pagitan ng itim at puting mga tiklado ng piano, ang balangaw ay isang paalala na ang pagkakaiba-iba ay hindi sagabal kundi isang himig ng pagkakaisa. Sa kabila ng magkakaibang kulay, tono at anyo, ang tunay na ganda ay lumilitaw kapag ang lahat ay nagsasama. Nagbibigay daan sa isang mas makulay at mas makabuluhang mundo. Sa palabas na ito, ang bawat tinig ay may sariling himig at bawat kwento ay isang nota sa isang awiting tumatawag sa pagkakapantay-pantay. Tulad ng Ebony and Ivory na magkasamang umaawit sa parehong piano, tayo rin ay maaaring mabuhay ng magkasama sa pagkakaunawaan, pagtanggap at pagmamahal. Ngayong sinimulan natin ang paglalakbay sa mundong ito, hayaang ang balangaw ang maging ating gabay sa pag-unawa, pagtanggap at pagdiriwang ng ating pagkakaiba.
Kumakanta pa ako ng Ebony and Ivory. So, We hope everyone enjoyed the creative book presentation entitled Balangao. Thank you to Professors Dennis Makubat and Larry J. Ambion and the Department of Languages and Literature of the College of Arts and Sciences for this literary audio and video masterpiece. At this point in the program, we will now proceed to the scientific presentation of the different research outputs. For this year's Research Summit, we have a collection of research presentations from San Beda University Colleges of Arts and Sciences, IBED, Nursing, Graduate School of Business, and Medicine. They will be joined by co-authors and presenters from the University of Santo Tomas, UST Angelicum College, De La Salle University, De La Salle Araneta University, National University, Centro Escolar University, Trinity University of Asia, Philippine Science High School, Mary Mother Mercy Home for the Elderly and Abandoned, and City Social Welfare and Development Office, which are both from Laguna, and from Jiang College of Zhejiang ANF University from China. The research presentations will be divided into five separate but parallel Zoom sessions, or Zoom rooms rather. Each room will have its respective moderator as well as a different lineup of research presentations. So please take note that parallel room 1 will be held using this plenary Zoom room. And I'd like to remind everyone that these are not breakout rooms. So these are separate Zoom rooms with separate Zoom meeting IDs and passcodes. So for Room 1 will discuss the concept of kapwa and abandoned elderly women, environmentalism in schools, marriage in the Philippines, and ecological preservation. Room 2 will discuss women-centric collective bargaining agreements, workplace issues of female employees, management topics and the LGBT community, and AI and cyber threats in the Philippine government. Room 3 will tackle gender in translation, case explorations of the fifth dimension, the late Pope Francis inclusivity framework and SDG 4A in the Philippines. Room 4 will discuss emotional intelligence and behavior, standards for guidance and counselor services, growth mindsets and climate action, and purposeful existence among post-stroke Filipinos. Lastly, Room 5 will reflect research on macroeconomic indicators and Philippine economics, green entrepreneurial technology, AI-generated podcasts in medical education, and the impact of climate change on fisheries using machine learning. Each parallel room will start their respective presentations at 2:30, so 4 minutes from now, and shall end at 4:30 p.m. So just a reminder, after the last presenter in each parallel room, may we request all participants to please be back here in room 1. So please be back here at the plenary room at 4:30 for the final segment of the summit. Now, for those who missed the Zoom details, please refer to the slide on screen. It's shown on screen, as well as the details of which are again also posted in Zoom chat. So for those who will miss the shared screen details, you may refer to this. You may download the Zoom meeting IDs and the passcodes for the 5 different Zoom parallel rooms in Zoom chat. So at this point, we invite everyone to join their preferred parallel rooms. So please take note of your preferred parallel room Zoom details and passcodes here shared on screen. And we will be breaking up for a bit so that we can proceed with the research presentations in the parallel rooms. So again, please, just a reminder, we will see you again later here in the plenary room or room 1 at 4:30 p.m. So that's it. So please go to your preferred parallel room numbers. Thank you very much and see you again. Magandang hapon po. Good afternoon to all our audience and presenters here at Parallel Room 1. We will start in a few minutes. So if you want to go to another parallel room, I encourage you to please go to your respective parallel room. So this will be Parallel Room 1 for the presentations for this particular room. Hey, good afternoon again. I am Dr. Julius Migrino from the College of Medicine, and I will be moderating the research presentations for Parallel Room number 1. So we have 4 presentations this afternoon, which are aligned for this room to be presented by 4 teams of equally diverse members from the San Beda University and from affiliate institutions. So I hope all 4 presenters are all ready. But to start the presentation, let's first have a short prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Loving and gracious God, source of all wisdom and truth, we gather today in the spirit of Ora et Labora, prayer and work, to share the fruits of our study and collaboration. Please bless each presenter that their words may enlighten and inspire. Bless our audience that they may listen with open minds and open hearts. May humility guide us, hospitality unite us, and your wisdom lead us ever closer to the truth. We offer this work for your greater glory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So let me begin by giving a quick run through of the sequence for this parallel room. So each presentation shall be given 15 minutes, which will be immediately followed by a short question and answer segment. Now we invite all the presenters to adhere to the time frame we shall be giving, probably a last 2-minute notice if ever the need arises. We also invite all the audiences, including the non-presenters rather, to participate in the discussion by either typing your questions through our Zoom chat or by clicking your raise hand icon in Zoom during the question and answer segment. And you can unmute yourself once recognized to ask your questions directly to the presenter. Now, lastly, we enjoin everyone to stay for the entirety of the 4 presentations, as well as to go back, to stay here in plenary room 1. That's the advantage of room 1, di na tayo lilipat, no? So as well as to participate in the awarding ceremonies and the closing remarks later this afternoon. Now, to begin our scientific discord, let me call on the authors of our first study entitled Interconnected Lives, exploring Paul Ricoeur's philosophy and the Filipino concept of kapwa in reconstructing narrative identity and solicitude for abandoned elderly women. To be presented by Professor Julius Tutor, PhD. Dr. Tutor serves as an assistant professor at San Beda University, where he has been actively involved in teaching theology courses across the College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Nursing. His multidisciplinary research interests encompass Ricoeur's philosophy, public health and public policy, social work, and theology. He has successfully published scholarly articles both locally and internationally, including in Scopus Index journals. Please welcome our first presenter, Dr. Julius B. Tutor.
Okay, good afternoon. May I know if you can hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you, Doc.
Okay, let me know if my companions are here, and let me welcome Sister Venus and G. Hinaro if you are available. Please introduce yourself. We are here. So I have my companion with me, so Mr. G. Salazar and Sir Venus. So we are the authors of this study, and the title of our study is Interconnected Lives, Exploring Paul Ricoeur's Philosophy Filipino concept of kapwa in reconstructing narrative identity and solicitude for abandoned elderly women. Now, no one will be left behind. So this was part of the pledge uttered in the introductory statement by United Nations, which basically aimed to transform the world in 2023 through the Sustainable Developmental Goals, or we call this one the SDGs. It says in number 4, its declaration that recognizing the dignity of the human person is fundamental. We wish to see the goals and targets met for all nations and peoples and for all segments of the society. Okay? Armored with this hope, we, the researchers, together with Sister Venus and G of this paper, explores the same possibility of leaving no one behind, especially the abandoned elderly people. Hence, through this attempt, the paper aims in the reconstruction of the narrative identity and solicitude of the abandoned elderly women, utilizing the principle of sustainable development goals on good health and well-being through the lens of recourse philosophy and the integration of the Filipino concept of kapwa in bringing new hope of the abandoned elderly women. According to the 2020 World Census Report, there was approximately 414 million Asians aged 65 and older in 2020. This number is projected to grow more than 1.2 billion by 2060, implying that 1 out of every 10 people in the world will be an older Asian. The growing population of the age generation implies also for increasing needs and new challenges. Consider, for example, the gradual increase of the number of home care, both private and public-run institutions, okay, in every region right now. In previous years, Filipino culture, okay, strongly upheld the tradition of caring for aging parents and grandparents within the family home, okay, valuing close-knit familial bonds. However, in recent years or times, incidents of abandoning elderly family members in care homes, commonly referred to as dumping grannies, okay, have emerged as a growing concern in the society. The context of this study was also done in the care facility, the Mary Mother of Mercy Home for the Elderly and Abandoned in San Pedro, Laguna. This center is owned and facilitated by the Sisters of St. Francis Xavier, whose mission primarily is rescuing elderly women or abandoned women in the streets. Okay, so these are grannies intentionally abandoned by their families and relatives. The researchers of this study were intrigued at first, okay, when we were discussing about that same interest with the elderly. Hence, we, the researchers, agreed to focus and conduct the study in relation to our concern on elderly abandonment. For the statement of the problem, in this paper, we attempt to answer the main question, okay, on how the intersection of the kapwa and recourse philosophy offers ethical and practical response or responses to the abandonment of elderly women. Specifically, the study presents these objectives. Number 1, to explore the interplay between personal and communal identity reconstruction. Number 2, establish kapwa as a framework for addressing ethical neglect in caring for others. And lastly, to propose tangible solutions, blending philosophical and cultural insights in responding to the needs and challenges of the abandoned elderly women. For the framework of the study, we started with the conceptual. different societies and cultures have different interpretations of what constitute basically old age, okay? And individuals from different social and cultural backgrounds may experience old age differently. So this was stated by Parker in 2020. In the Philippines, the aging index or the proportion of the persons aged 60 years and over per 100 person under the age of 15 was computed at 27.6% in 2020. This means that there is one person whose age is 60 years and over for every children under 15 years old, according to the census conducted in 2020. The percentage may not be that alarming compared to other nations like Singapore or Japan. Recently, with the call of Pope Francis I to walk and listen with the different sectors, opened an opportunity to uncover the challenges and situations of the elderly abandoned women in the Philippines. Our philosopher, Paul Ricoeur, from 1913 to 2005, was a renowned French philosopher known for his profound contributions to phenomenology, hermeneutics, and the philosophy of language. His work focused on exploring the nature of experience, human experience, interpretation, and the search for meaning in life. Ricoeur's philosophy is characterized by its depth and breadth, addressing themes such as time, narrative, ethics, and the self. Hence, his philosophy was appropriate to explore the lived experience of the abandoned elderly. For his significant contribution, basically, on hermeneutics or the theory of interpretation, Ricoeur is celebrated for advancing hermeneutics, particularly through his concept of the hermeneutics of suspicion and the hermeneutics of trust. He emphasized the importance of interpreting texts, symbols, and narratives to uncover meaning while balancing critical analysis with understanding. Second, on narrative analysis or narrative identity. Ricoeur introduced the idea that individuals construct their identities through narratives. He argued that storytelling helps people make sense of their lives, connecting the past, the present, and the future in a coherent way. In his book, Oneself as Another, Ricoeur says that it is to the narrative configuration understood in the sense that one must compare the sort of connectedness claimed by an impersonal description. This understanding creates basically the confession of interconnectivity between individuals. For a Filipino, this is very similar to the concept of the kapwa, or we call the shared identity. Moreover, Ricoeur's philosophy in the study was explored to understand solicitude in the experience of the abandoned, understand of the self-reconstruct, and the abandoned elderly women using art, storytelling, relational bond, and the interpretation of the uttered meaning. Solicitude reflects the ethos of care and responsibility for others. Second, we have Catherine de Gia, is a German-born scholar, artist, and cultural advocate who has made significant contributions to the understanding of Filipino culture, particularly through her work on kapwa. She is deeply influenced by the ideas of Dr. Enriquez, the founder of Psikolohiyang Filipino. Catherine de Gia's work on kapwa emphasized the core value of the Filipino psychology and culture. Kapwa means self in the other or shared self. It reflects the interconnectedness of individuals where the boundaries between the self and the other are fluid. This concept challenges the Western notions of individualism by prioritizing relational and communal identity. Now next, on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs number 1, number 3, number 5, number 10, and number 11 was integrated to affirm the impact or the challenges and the needs and the lived experience of the abandoned elderly women. Hence, this paper aimed to explore the study in weaving the philosophical, cultural perspectives, reflecting on how a deeper understanding of the interconnected lives among the abandoned elderly foster empathy, moral responsibility, and ethical care. For the operational framework, okay, so we have this method implied in the study. First, we make use of art mediation. So basically to facilitate also, okay, in gathering the lived experience, okay? And we have also the storytelling where the narratives were transcribed. And we made use of recourse hermeneutical processes as part also of the incorporation of how the narratives are being interpreted and analyzed. And lastly, in answering also the objectives of the study, we have the elements of the interconnected lives, and this is what we call on the last stage of recourse hermeneutical process, coming up with our call to action. For the methodology, okay. First, in applying the hermeneutical method, we have the pre-understanding or the naive reading. It begins with an initial open-minded reading of the text. This involves engaging with the text as it presents itself without preconceived judgment, allowing its surface meaning to emerge. Second, as part of the process, is the distanciation. It recognizes the autonomy of the text. Ricord emphasizes that a text once written becomes independent of its author and the original context. Okay, so these steps involved in analyzing the text as a standalone entity, focusing on its structure, language, and meaning, which was somehow applied in this study. And the explanation, or we call this one the critical analysis. Okay, it digs deeper into the text by examining its historical, cultural, and linguistic context. Next one is understanding, or we call this one the fusion of horizons. We move beyond the critical analysis to interpret the text in relation to the reader's own context and experience. This step involves a fusion of horizons where the meaning of the text is recontextualized and integrated into the reader's worldview. And fifth, we have the appropriations. We make the meaning of the text our own. Recourse emphasizes that interpretation is not complete until the reader internalizes the insights gained from the text and applies them to their own life or understanding. And lastly, our call to action or reflection. Okay, so on this part, the hermeneutics often leads to ethical and existential reflection, which is also quite unique from the philosophy or principle of Paul Ricord. The insight gained from this interpretation should inspire action or deeper engagement with the world. So this is the method, our method used. And for the result of the study, so these are the key meanings in the narrative. Okay. So I just need to cover the face of our elderly. Okay, so by law, we are not allowed technically to show them. So considering that they are also abandoned. Okay, so but these are the narratives, okay, being gathered and interpreted. So let me just show this one for you for a while. Before I will explore into the critical analysis. Okay. Now, two important questions were asked here about the meanings or representations of their painting. First is on the narrative of their selfhood. The question is, looking back on your life, how would you describe your personal journey or story? Okay. Next is to facilitate the exploration of the first objective of the study. The respondents were asked also about their social connections and their kapwa. How important is your connection with others? such as your friends, the caregivers, or the community members, the nuns, the security guard, for your well-being. Though some of the answers were not that elaborate, we take the responses as honest and authentic as it is. The process of distanciation were observed in the sense, okay? Based from the narrative structure, symbolic representations, and literal analysis, okay, so as being presented here, so we come up with the key elements of the shared narratives, okay? This is our way of responding to our objective, to our research objective number 1. So for example, let me just showcase 2 examples on the spot. So for our respondent number 2, so the literal meaning. So it means that here, if you can view this one, so this is the narrative, the transcribed narrative. And for the application of recourse philosophy, so there are actually 5 means to uncover the meaning. Okay, so he says that when the narrative is now being exposed to us, it is now subject also to interpretations. But in order to come up with an objectivity of this one, he relies technically into the concept of culture, which is one of the values on where we can come up with our critical analysis. Okay, so just to make this one as an example. Okay, so let me go over this one. The respondent describes the drawing of 2 coffins. Okay, so basically to symbolize different kinds of death. She reflects on life's inevitable suffering, emphasizing the importance of embracing happiness while alive. She recounts how relationships in the present echo the needs and connections they experienced in the past. So for those who are familiar with Husserl's phenomenology, so this type of hermeneutics is really quite different. Okay? Next one, we come up with the symbolic representations. So this is now how the reader at some point technically appropriates the meaning. The 2 coffins may symbolize not the physical death, not only the physical death, but also metaphorical death, the loss of relationship, identity, or stages of life. This duality reflects the complexity of human loss. The cemetery represents a place of reflection, closure, and enduring presence of memories, loved ones, and loved ones. Relating with others, it highlights the healing power of community and human connections, both in the past and in the present. So if we go over this one, the interpretation right now is according into the application of the principle. And when we go into the narrative structure, drawing the coffin, okay, or the coffins to represent both death and life struggle. Okay. The reflection on the past is acknowledgement of the pain and the loss, especially the passing of loved ones. Moreover, our respondent focuses on the present too, which emphasize happiness, faith, and relationship as sources of strength and resilience. So if we go over the text here, okay, so for our respondent, technically, she was in the center. Okay, she left behind her nephew, and she was not able to. She was not visited for some time. Okay, so she has nowhere else to go. So it symbolizes coming from our perspective an appropriation of meaning to that kind of loss and that kind of death. Okay, so I'll just go over some of this because of the limited time. Okay. So that you can view also based from the drawing. So this is the painting. So a woman reaching for a cross. So this is the literal one. The symbolic and the narrative structure, okay, based from applying the critical analysis of the narratives. So we have a firefly, the literal meaning, the symbolic representations, and the narrative structure. Okay. So basically, out of the 13 lolas, okay, or grandparents or elderly, we gather around 7. Okay, because some of the statements cannot technically be transcribed. Okay. Now, for objective number 2, the appropriations of the meaning or the key themes, integrating the concept of the kapwa and recourse solicitude. So there are 4 themes that we come up in terms of identifying, okay, the key elements from the statements, from the narrative of our respondents. The first one is recognize of shared humanity. Second, the role of empathy and solidarity. Next is faith and relational accountability. And lastly, the transformative growth in the community. Okay? So the act of helping others, for example, empathizing with their pain and providing symbolic offerings like a house or a flower reflects the concept of kapwa or our shared humanity, recognizing others as integral part of one's own moral and emotional landscape. So what is this one? Coming from the concept of solicitude of the philosophy of recourse. Okay? So it says that the concept of appropriations, making meaning, personal compliments of the kapwa by showing how narratives internalize ethical responsibility. Okay? So let me just share this one for a while so that you can also view our objective number 2. Then for our objective number 3, so we call this one the call to action, blending recourse, solicitude, ethical responsibility, and the care for others with the Filipino cultural value of the kapwa or shared humanity, can provide meaningful and cultural grounded solutions for addressing the needs and challenges of abandoned elderly women. We have discovered so far as researchers is to incorporate art and creativity for healing. Second, foster intergenerational engagement. Okay? This means that implementing mentorship or storytelling programs where elderly can share their wisdom and life experiences with younger people. Furthermore, schools, university, and youth organizations can adapt to these programs, okay, to create meaningful intergenerational connections. Sanbeda, for example, okay, by doing or going through our courses like NSTP and Theology for Social Justice, okay, so we can make that one as an example. And lastly, the concept of empowering the elderly women as active contributors. By integrating recourse philosophical framework of solicitude with the cultural values of kapwa, these solutions aim to honor the dignity, agency, and shared humanity of the abandoned elderly women. They emphasize holistic care, grounded in relationships, creativity, and communal actions to address both their physical, emotional, while fostering a sense of belonging and worth. Recourse emphasis on the recognition of kapwa's value for interconnectedness highlight the need to view the elderly not as burdens, but as vital contributors to collective identity. Okay? And for the conclusion, so solicitude highlights the human beings as relational by nature and moral responsibility. Okay? Arises in the context of these relationships. In both recourse philosophy and the kapwa framework, the elderly are not separate from us. They are a vital part of the shared human journey. Their existence calls to deeper compassion, humility, and solidarity, binding our lives in ethics or ethical and cultural unity. Okay, so these are our sources or references. So that ends our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tutor. So in the interest of time, maybe we can just ask one question, and if anyone else does have any questions, kindly write them down in our Zoom chat. So for my question, so currently have a current issue on population collapse right now, where in most countries, including the Philippines, we have very low and unsustainable birth rates. So in effect, our elderly population will actually grow and grow in the coming decades. How do you think this will affect or be affected by the Filipino concept of kapwa, either as a whole concept, or regarding specific themes that you've identified in your study?
Well, thank you for that one, Doc Julius, for your question. It's actually challenging. Well, basically, I tend to view that one in both positive and negative sense. Okay, negative first because technically it does not showcase our values as Filipinos. As I mentioned in the introductory part, it's quite alarming that the increase of home care nowadays both private, public, and NGOs, okay, signify an increase of abandoning elderly. Abandoning in a sense, some of them are intentional, though some of them because of some concern probably. Okay, so they let the home care facilitate the burden, if we consider that way. But it's also quite positive in some sense that even if the experience is negative, it highlights somehow our traits or values, specifically the kapwa. Okay, in this sense, specifically when I talk about the abandoned elderly, where we can revisit once more, okay, our shall we say emotional self when we are dealing with them, seeing them with that situation. Okay? When I was bringing my NSTP students and some companions and friends, I was technically asking them on what do you feel when you are seeing them. Okay? In some sense, it awakes that some parts of their lives, basically when they recall their lola, their old parents, that it is somehow quite unthinkable that they are being left behind, okay, or being abandoned. So I may say that even if that one is negative, but it is somehow positive because it awakens our sense of humanity, okay, at some point. Well, I hope I answered that one.
Yes, thank you very much for your answer. At least you recognize the two sides of the coin for for my particular question in concert with the principle of kapwa that you have mentioned in your research study. Thank you very much, Dr. Tutor.
Thank you.
Thank you to your co-authors, Venus Marie Pegar and Genaro Salazar, for your research presentation.
Thank you. So I do not know if my companions are here. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, Sister Venus, thank you very much. So Sister Venus is the directress of the center, and G is also a social worker. Okay. So if you have other questions, they can respond also.
Yes, if the audience have any questions, you can put them in chat, and our presenters will graciously answer them for you. Now we move on to our next presentation entitled Teaching Environmentalism in Philippine Schools, an empirical integrative review, and will be presented by Maria Eliza P. Cruz Ocampo. Maria Eliza Cruz Ocampo is an associate professor of the College of Arts and Sciences of San Beda University. She's also a part-time graduate school professor at the National University and the National Teachers College. She is the 2013 recipient of the Tanglao Academic Excellence Award for the Doctor of Education Educational Leadership Program of NTC, the 2013 training grantee of the Lamine Alapate Foundation, and the French Embassy to Manila to the fourth inquiry-based science education training workshop held at held in France, and the 2016 recipient of the FEU Publication Award. She is currently a consultant for the DepEd National SPJ Tracer Study Program. Let's welcome to the floor Maria Eliza Cruz Ocampo.
Hello, good afternoon, Doc Julius, and to the other Dr. Julius Tutor. If you could kindly drop the screen sharing, Dr. Tutor, so that I could share my screen. There. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me first fix my screen. Oh, wait. I think I still wait. Okay, I just opened my cam. Once again, good afternoon, and I am pleased to present to you my study entitled, let me go back to the first slide. There you go. So once again, good afternoon, and I am pleased to present to you my study entitled Teaching Environmentalism in Philippine Schools, an Empirical Integrative Review. So the accelerating climate crisis, largely driven by rapid industrialization and unsustainable development practices, has made environmental education an urgent global priority. Industrialization, while historically centered to economic growth, has significantly contributed to greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, pollution, and resource depletion, placing immense pressure on ecological systems. For climate vulnerable countries like the Philippines, the consequences of this environmental degradation are acutely felt in the form of stronger typhoons, rising sea levels, biodiversity loss, and socioeconomic disruption. As a frontline nation in the climate crisis, the Philippines must not only respond with policy and infrastructure, but also with education that fosters climate awareness and action. This is embodied in SDG 13, climate action, and more specifically in Target 13.3, which calls for improved education, awareness raising, and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and early warning. Responding to this challenge, UNESCO urges governments and institutions to rethink and revise education to better address contemporary global challenges, which of course includes climate change. In rethinking and revising education in the context of environmentalism, this central question is formulated. What are the publication trends, pedagogical tools, and issues raised and methods used by Filipino authors on environmentalism in Philippine schools and or environmental education in the Philippines, covering the period 2000 to 2025? Literature reviewed was from the Google Scholar database with the search terms being environmentalism in Philippines or in Philippine schools or environmental education in the Philippines. Obviously, only those that were authored from 2000 to 2025 were included. This study also employed the empirical integrative review method, which I followed from Sokera. It offers a systematic yet flexible approach to synthesizing research across diverse methodologies. Unlike traditional systematic reviews, the empirical integrative review allows for the inclusion of diverse methodologies, making it well suited for complex interdisciplinary topics like environmental education. Sukera's method involved five iterative stages, namely problem identification, literature search, data evaluation, data analysis, and presentation of results. For the problem, the central issue addressed is the status, nature, and quality of environmentalism in Philippine schools. In terms of the literature search, the inclusion criteria are empirical studies, that could be of diverse methodologies, as I have made mention. It should be focused on Philippine education and it should have addressed environmental or climate-related content. In terms of exclusion criteria, those that are purely theoretical works with no empirical basis, studies that were written outside the Philippine context, and articles that are unrelated to education or environmental themes, they weren't covered, they weren't included in the literature review. In terms of the data evaluation, each study was critically appraised based on research design and method rigor, relevance to environmentalism, and alignment with educational goals and sustainability outcomes, specifically the SDG target 13.3. A coding framework was also developed to categorize findings into themes such as curriculum integration, pedagogical strategies, policy support, student outcomes, and institutional initiatives. For the data analysis, I followed an iterative and thematic synthesis, allowing insights to emerge from both convergent and divergent findings. This approach enabled a nuanced understanding of how environmentalism is conceptualized and operationalized in the classroom, the gaps between policy and practice, the degree to which climate education responds to local vulnerabilities and global goals. Lastly, for the presentation of results, findings are presented thematically around key areas such as curricular integration of environmentalism, teachers' roles and capacities, policy support and institutional practices, and lastly, barriers and enablers towards effective implementation. Over the past 5 years, there has been a discernible increase in research output focusing on environmentalism in Philippine education. Majority of the studies were produced and authored by institutions located in Luzon, with one notable study documenting the practices of a Philippine school in Doha. Uh, the growing body of research on environmentalism in Philippine schools highlights not only regional and disciplinary trends but also significant pedagogical patterns across educational levels. In basic education, environmentalism is predominantly delivered through top-down formal approaches, often characterized by cognitive strategies such as textbook-based instruction, classroom lectures, and content-heavy science curricula. While these methods ensure knowledge transmission, they may fall short in cultivating deeper engagement and transformative action among students. In contrast, higher education institutions demonstrate a greater inclination toward bottom-up or innovative teaching practices. This include experiential learning strategies such as community immersion, such as in NSTP classes, service learning, and participatory action projects, which aim to develop students' critical consciousness and sense of environmental responsibility. An additional layer to this pedagogical landscape is the theocentric approach observed in many Catholic schools across the country. Drawing from Pope Francis' encyclical Laudato Si, these institutions embed environmentalism within a moral and spiritual framework, emphasizing ecological stewardship as a shared religious duty and expression of faith. This approach often merges a scientific understanding with theological reflection, cultivating both ecological literacy and ethical responsibility. In doing so, it reinforces UNESCO's call to rethink and revise education, especially by framing climate action not only as a scientific or civic issue, but also as a deeply human and spiritual imperative. This empirical integrative review also identified key issues affecting environmentalism in Philippine education. So one would be barriers to widespread curriculum integration, particularly the limited inclusion of environmental themes across subject areas beyond the sciences. Second, weak adoption of a whole institution approach to sustainability, where environmental values are not consistently embedded in school culture, operations, and leadership. Curriculum constraints, such as limited time, overcrowded learning objectives, and minimal space for interdisciplinary environmental education. Another concern is the persistent knowledge behavior gap, wherein students may understand or seem to have understand environmental issues but still struggle to apply this knowledge in real life actions or decisions. Also, it was discovered that there's the lack of continuous environmental assessment and improvement systems within schools, limiting opportunities for feedback, monitoring, and long term development. There's also the limited environmental education training for teachers, resulting in reduced confidence, preparedness, and pedagogical creativity when teaching climate-related topics. There's also the seen influence of demographic variables, including socioeconomic status, geographic location, and educational background, on learners' levels of awareness and concerns about global warming. Among the 21 articles reviewed, 18 employed quantitative methods, while 2 utilized mixed methods and 1 conducted a case study. A dominant trend across these studies was the use of surveys as the primary data collection tool, frequently supported by interviews and archival document analysis. Notably, all researchers conducted these assessments within their own institutions, which of course would raise concerns about potential bias and the limited generalizability of the findings. Participants included students from basic education, higher education, teacher education programs, and graduate programs, ensuring a broad representation across educational levels. Most of the surveys were self-developed with limited use of standardized instruments. Only one study adopted the Christian environmentalism scale, and the other utilized the green audit scale, suggesting a general lack of validated tools specific to the Philippine context. In terms of outcomes, all studies that evaluated the effectiveness of teaching strategies reported positive cognitive gains, such as increased environmental knowledge, awareness, or attitudes. However, these findings did not necessarily indicate a corresponding shift toward pro-environmental behavior, which again highlights the persistent knowledge-behavior gap in the field of environmental education. This review underscores the critical need to integrate environmentalism into the school curricula through participatory, interdisciplinary, creative, and emotionally engaging pedagogies. It highlights the importance of developing innovative models of environmental education that would actively engage young people in confronting the multifaceted challenges of climate change, including its scientific, social, ethical, and political dimensions. To enhance relevance and impact, educators are encouraged to diversify their teaching strategies, incorporating indigenous knowledge systems so that it could be more inclusive, theocentric ethics, and community-based learning. Embedding these perspectives within the curriculum can deepen students' ecological consciousness and foster meaningful environmental action that is supposedly to close the gap between knowledge and behavior. Moreover, the success of environmental education depends heavily on institutional commitment and adequate teaching resources. Strengthening this foundational support is essential for addressing persistent challenges and ensuring that environmental education contributes not only to cognitive development, that seems to be the recurring theme that is always about the cognitive gain, but very less or very on the minimum in terms of how it influences their pro-environmental behavior. So therefore, the major recommendation would be we have to devise ways on how to maximize or to improve our bottom-up approaches so that there would be sustainable behavior, sustainable pro-environmental behavior, and ultimately there would be transformative change. So these are my references, and I thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Cruz Ocampo. Um, we have some questions here lined up. But again, I'm reminding everyone if you have, I encourage everyone to ask their questions to our presenters. You can type them here in our Zoom chat, or you can click the raise hand button in Zoom and you can ask the presenters your questions directly. Okay, first question here. So going back, I think we are going back to the question of environmentalism in school curricula. So given the crowded curriculum already across all programs within most, if not all schools, I think what the crowded term here means is that there are a lot of subjects already and no specific teacher or program or course rather would be willing to give up their time to add on to incorporate environmentalism. How do you think we can increase environmentalism in our specific San Beda University programs, whether it's in College of Arts and Sciences, nursing, medicine, even Graduate School of Business?
I'd like to connect it with the bottom-up approach that is being recommended as found in many recommendations and in many results of the studies that I have reviewed. They would always go back to the importance of making sure that the students are immersed in reality or that they would learn from the ground. So I think NSTP, although it also follows a standardized curriculum, could be a great avenue towards immersion of students. And then secondly, other than, of course, NSTP is still a formal, it would still utilize the formal or the standard approach. But then again, it is advised that even in subjects beyond sciences, because it has been also established in literature that only the sciences would really heavily integrate environmentalism. But then again, even other subjects such as history, social sciences, or even literature, Filipino, should still incorporate environmentalism in their topics. So meaning to say it should be integrated in all subjects, in all courses.
So yeah, so
There
you're
must
saying it doesn't have to be a formal course or
yes,
time. So integration or even immersion of our
yes,
students into areas which involve environmentalism concepts.
yes, exactly, sir.
Okay,
There
very
must
very
be a
well
way
said.
to integrate topics in environmentalism
Mhm.
across all areas in diverse disciplines. I think
Okay.
that's the call.
I think that was very much highlighted in your presentation yung the bottom up approach. Okay.
Yes.
And speaking about the bottom up approach, I think it's related to our second question. So our second question is, so while the Philippines have general environmentalism issues as a country, there may be there may be priority issues across different regions, provinces, or even cities and towns. Was this particular was this prioritization reflected in the narrative review? I think this means that would certain provinces who have their specific most important environmental issues, are these reflected in the narrative review?
I didn't include it because the focus was really in terms of I think that could be covered in community education or community
Mm,
extension. Um, but that's not really I didn't really include studies on extension or how environmentalism was taught in communities. So it's a limitation. I didn't really cover that, but I think that could also be an avenue towards enforcing bottom-up approaches, especially if the students will be the ones who would be educating the communities.
mm.
So other than it would be a two-in-one, I think, solution. You're educating the community and at the same time, you're also teaching the students or immersing the students towards environmentalism.
So there's specific community environmental needs.
Yes, I think that would be devised, for example, so that to accommodate the specific context needs of that particular region. So, for example, if it's in Cainta or Taytay, that could be within the context of the community being flood prone, or for example, if it would be in Mindoro, it could be using the context of, for example, mining and so forth and so on.
Okay, very well said. No? So of course, localization, especially in a very
Contextualization.
yeah, very diverse archipelagic countries such as us, very problematic. You have
Yeah.
different issues with different provinces or cities. Okay, we have a comment here from one of our audience. In UST, we are highlighting care for creation in theology courses. So for those who are in our theology courses here at San Beda University, I'm not sure with your curriculum now. So I think this is just a comment. So I'm not. I
Yeah.
hope we do have specific sustainability environmentalism courses as well from our other courses and programs here at the university.
I understand that UST is really highlighting this approach, but San Beda University has been a Laudato Si university. And as such, if you would be noticing here, um, after 2015, after the publication of the encyclical Laudato Si, there was I think I did mention about the theocentric approach in teaching environmentalism. That this was also a a huge movement in terms of how to teach environmentalism. So it eventually transcended. It's not just really pedagogical or social, or it eventually became a moral duty. So we should all be immersed in environmentalism, not because of economic growth or because of this and that, but because it's our moral and spiritual duty. So I think I did mention about the theocentric approach in
Yes, yes.
theocentric environmentalism. And you would notice that the authorship, the years would be after the publication of the encyclical Laudato Si. So I like to think that it has a huge impact on how we see
Yeah.
environmentalism at this point in time.
Yes, I
Para
would
nakita
agree.
na,
No?
yun. Parang hindi na
Yes.
siya largely na parang physical, psychological, pero kasama na din yung spiritual duty natin.
I
Parang
think the Laudato Si really spearheaded a lot of these newer research thrusts.
approaches towards teaching
approaches.
environmentalism. Exactly, sir.
Okay. So I think we can end the discussion there. Thank you very much, Professor Maria Eliza Cruz Ocampo, for your presentation.
Thank you.
And we now head to our third research presentation to be presented by faculty members coming from the University of Santo Tomas, Institute of Religion. Dr. Joselito Gutierrez is a research associate at the UST Research Center for Theology, Religious Studies, and Ethics. He finished his PhD in Family Studies and obtained his MA in Theology and an undergraduate degree in Management and Industrial Engineering. His research interests are marriage and family studies, gerontology, and Catholic social teaching. Dr. Sarah Gail Ortiz obtained her Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership, an MA in Theology, and her bachelor's degree in Chemical Engineering. Her research focus includes sacraments, Mariology, marriage, and family. Jeffrey B. Cercado is a candidate for PhD in Theology, major in Systematic Theology. He holds a Bachelor of Philosophy degree and an MA in Religious Studies. Merrill Patrick J. Garcia obtained his MA in Theology and his bachelor's degree in Classical Philosophy. His research interests include systematic theology, hermeneutics, culture, marriage, and family. Let us listen to the research presentation entitled Socio-Cultural Appraisal of the Indissolubility of Marriage in the Philippines.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Am I audible on the other end?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So thank you for that kind introduction. Of course, I am here with my co-authors, led by Doc Joey and Doc Sarah. Doc Sarah would be presenting with me, so the other half of this presentation, and Doc Joey and Sir Jeff, they would be answering your questions. Kaya damihan niyo po yung tanong mamaya para sa kanila. So we'll try our best to make this presentation quick para madami silang exposure. Yeah. So to start with, the title of our research is Socio-Cultural Appraisal of the Indissolubility of Marriage in the Philippines. So from the very title, this is contextual in our country. So the background of the research is that marriage in our country is regarded as sacred and lifelong covenant, or we say a commitment, lifelong commitment, deeply influenced by Catholic beliefs or that uphold its indissolubility until death. Kumbaga, hanggang kamatayan, magkasama kayo. So ganun yung pananaw. Consequently, divorce remains illegal or non-legal, and separation is often seen as an irregular marital arrangement, reflecting the country's strong religious foundation. However, societal views are gradually shifting, with more Filipinos becoming open to the idea of divorce due to the high cost of annulment, the prevalence of domestic issues such as abuse and infidelity, and the rising trend of cohabitation. Another would be the socioeconomic influences, or should we say challenges, and coming from modern perspectives, often described as part of throwaway culture. Mentioning throwaway culture, which is something that our late Pope Francis had been emphasizing on with his writings. These have also contributed to a changing perception of marriage, sometimes seen more as a burden than a commitment. Speaking of throwaway culture, it's not just about a problem of environment. It's also a problem that we see in our society, a social degradation. So it's more of a reflection. Kanina na yun, about environmentalism. Ang gandang tignan nito na in a social perspective, kaya pala tayo may problema sa environment because we also have problem in the way we relate with each other as a society. So throwaway culture is rooted on the way we see the value of every human being, and of course the environment itself. So with this in mind, so part of that background, in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions, this research paper explores the sociocultural and religious perspectives on marriage in the Philippines, emphasizing the value of the indissolubility of marriage. Indissolubility of marriage amidst the evolving views on role of marriage and family in the Philippine society. Hence, the paper aims to revisit the family as the basic unit of society, that is a bedrock of a strong and functioning society. Furthermore, the paper highlights that the indissolubility of Christian marriage for Filipinos is rooted not only in church teachings, but also in the country's cultural traditions, societal values, and practices. So about our scope with that background and objectives, this paper focuses on the meaning of Christian marriage in the Filipino context, emphasizing its cultural and sociological aspects. It explores the unity and indissolubility of marriage from a Filipino Christian perspective. Using a qualitative approach and a contextual analysis method, the study examines relevant literatures and appropriate it to the current Philippine context. The available articles, literature, and reports serve as the primary and secondary sources of information. Now let us proceed to the findings. Aligned with SDG 16, Article 15 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution recognizes the family as the nation's foundation, with marriage being an essential, inviolable institution that binds families. So of course, we're emphasizing on the idea of an institution in line with the SDG 16. The Filipino family, traditionally consisting of a father, a mother, and a children, is highly valued, and societal and legal frameworks protect it. On the other end, the Catholic Church teachings uphold the unity and indissolubility of marriage. Marriage, viewed as a sacrament, is sacred and indissoluble because it is divine covenant between the couple and God. The Church teaches that marriage reflects the relationship between Christ and the Church, symbolizing unconditional love, fidelity, and sacrifice. Marriage is not merely a social contract, but a bond ordained by God intended for the lifelong union of husband and wife who are seen as one flesh. So the emphasis is on the mirroring of Christ's relationship with the church, and that is pictured by the crucified Christ, the willingness to sacrifice one's life for the very value of the other, and in this context, the value of the spouse. However, modernization and changing realities have changed family landscapes. Issues such as migration, domestic violence, financial struggles, and infidelity, among others, contributed to the engendering of some issues such as divorce, adultery, and child abuse. So looking at the sociocultural framework, here are some notable points. Of course, those have different frameworks that we have just presented from the legal perspective and from the theological perspective. Let's now revisit the cultural and the sociological value that we have as Filipinos of what about marriage. So marriage in the Philippines is deeply rooted in cultural and familial values. With the family as the foundation unit of society, or foundational unit of society, a well-functioning family contributes to the well-being of its members. Filipinos marry for various reasons, including love, companionship, economic stability, and social status. Marriage also strengthens familial ties and is viewed as a sacred union, not only in personal level, but also in the form of two families merging together. Dalawang pamilya ang kinakasal. Now, some factors contributing to a successful marriage include a happy childhood, financial stability, emotional maturity, effective communication, and shared religious belief. Couples with a supportive upbringing, stable finances, and strong communication are more likely to have successful marriages. The age of marriage also plays a pivotal role, with older individuals generally better prepared for marriage emotional and psychological responsibility. Traditional values like family unity, respect for elders, and commitment remain central to Filipino families. A successful Filipino children and maintaining close ties with extended family. While financial stability is important, the enduring harmony and unity within the family define a successful marriage in the Filipino culture. So what we are saying now is diving deep on what Filipino has to offer as value. But of course, we also have to look into the realities that are there, and Doc Sara is to present that for us.
So when we go to the importance and benefits of intact marriage, for Filipinos, a family's well-being is often measured by 8 key dimensions. According to CHUA, these are resource adequacy, comfortable lifestyle, financial security, good health, strong family relationships, good parenting, virtuous family living, and overall satisfaction. Wilcox and Bass explained that the importance of a intact two-parent family structure is highly regarded, particularly in connection to children's emotional, educational, and social development. Children benefit from both parents actively involved in their children's lives, which supports their academic success, mental health, and resilience. When we go to the emotional and benefits of intact marriage upon the children, for Filipinos, a family's well-being is often measured. One of the most significant advantages of an intact family is the emotional security it provides to its children. Consistent support from both parents fosters strong sense of self-worth, stability, and belongingness, which can contribute to healthier relationships and success in adulthood. Lampay and Hoxon insist that positive family dynamics also serve as models for communication, conflict resolution, and relationship building, which are skills that children can carry into future interactions. Now, what are the risks of non-intact families? Now, dual income household generally confers greater financial stability, enabling children to access superior educational opportunities, healthcare, and extracurricular activities. In contrast, children from non-intact families frequently encounter significant economic challenges, which can adversely affect their academic performance and increase the likelihood of negative outcomes, including criminal behavior and poor health. A 2023 study by Gutierrez, de Vergara, and Batan found that higher rates of teenage pregnancies leading to teenage parenthood were more common in single-parent families. This early transition into parenthood often comes with additional challenges, suggesting that emotional maturity is essential for building a family. The impact of separation on Filipino families is profound. Separated parents, especially single mothers or fathers, often face significant challenges, which includes financial and emotional burdens. Many are forced to live in extended households to alleviate financial stress and receive emotional support. For separated families, the psychological and economic cost can be high and traumatic, considering that Filipino society's view on separation is negative. Some researchers argue that legal and social changes, including the introduction of divorce, could provide better protection for children and adults involved in broken marriages. But despite these challenges that is brought about by separation, the family remains the most important consideration in Philippine culture. Decisions are often made with the welfare of the children in mind, and Filipino parents are deeply committed to ensuring their children's well-being, sometimes choosing to endure complex relationships for their sake. This prioritization of family underscores the cultural importance of familial unity and desire to maintain a stable environment for children's growth and development. And to conclude, in the predominantly Catholic Philippines, marriage is seen as a means to form a family. Christian as well as civil marriage affirms the couple's lifelong commitment to each other and their children. In the Philippine socio-cultural context, marriage is highly valued, and the integrity of marriage significantly impacts the well-being of children and society. The presence of both parents in a child's life is seen as something that is crucial for emotional stability and a healthy family environment. Marital separation, however, poses negative consequences, particularly for children who may experience psychological trauma, which can affect their future. Although marital separation is a reality, it is not romanticized, as it brings challenges and stigma. The potential introduction of divorce in the Philippines contradicts traditional values and could exacerbate existing problems related to family dynamics. Solo parenting, which often result from marital separation, brings additional challenges, including societal stigma, financial sacrifices, and the emotional toll of missing significant milestones in their children's life. Despite these challenges, Filipinos value marriage and family as foundational to life. Marriage is a social status and indicative of life's success. It is seen as a commitment that must be respected, and parents will do everything to preserve family unity for their children's well-being. The cultural affirmation of the indissolubility of marriage reflects the great importance that the Filipinos place on maintaining an intact family, as marital separation is seen as a big failure. As an institution, an intact family plays a vital role in building a strong society and serves as the foundation for growth for its members and the community at large. This research studies indicates that although existing studies qualitatively highlight the significance of marriage in Filipino culture, additional quantitative research is necessary to investigate the gap between traditional Filipino values about marriage and the current realities of family life. Such research could offer a deeper understanding of marriage's role in promoting family stability beyond Catholic teachings. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our presenters, particularly to Meryl Garcia and Sarah Gail Ortiz, for their presentation on sociocultural appraisal of the indissolubility of marriage in the Philippines. So again, we invite everyone to please type in your questions, or you can click the raise hand icon in Zoom so that you can ask your questions directly to our presenters and to our authors. Okay, so we have a few questions here in lined up. So for the first question, this is actually a question from me. So there was I think there was a statement earlier, please clarify me if I'm wrong, in that older marriages the older you get, the older you are when you get married, the more ready you are for marriage. I hope I understood that properly. But I'd like to highlight that in some studies, the older you get married, there is also the less chance of you having children. So in short, even if you have a more stable marriage, the older you are when you get married, the less chances you have to have children, which affects the family unit, because it was mentioned earlier that the family unit includes both the mother, the father, and their children. So what is your opinion on this? And do you think this would have its effect on the family unit realistically, at least in the Philippine context?
Yung mga kasama ko, pwede naman silang mag-add ng sagot na. So regarding that question, the number there is relative, or it's important to consider. When we talk about the older one, we're talking about emotional maturity and the capacity of one to be responsible. But of course, we don't discount the idea that that age is still, we have also to consider the age wherein you are still healthy in having a child or having children.
Biologically.
So, yeah, biologically. So these are equally important. So the literature that we use is actually emphasizing on the emotional and maturity to be responsible. But of course, coming from the literature that you have shared, that I believe emphasizes on the capacity of one to physiologically able to bear a child, which is, I say, equally important in considering marriage.
Very well said. Thank you for the clarification. I think that ties up with the next question here. So based on your study, at least here in the Philippines, do you think that the concept sorry, meron palang may initial question pala. You mentioned that marriage and the family unit have both legal and theological frameworks. So based on your study, at least here in the Philippines, do you think that the concept of intact family requires both frameworks to work properly? So is there synergism or is there antagonism between the two that will work best to provide an intact family unit?
Okay, Doc Joey, mag-add na lang kayo kung sakaling gusto niyong magdagdag ng sagot. Sabi niyo kayong sasagot, ba't ako pa rin yung sumasagot dito? Anyway, so with that question, tama na, if I get your question right, it's about the legal framework and
in the
theological
Yeah.
framework. This is, at least on the perspective of the church, this is equally important. In the theological framework, it emphasizes, of course, on the obligation of parents. Okay. Kaya naman, I will be answering this in the perspective of the principle of subsidiarity. This principle, coming from the social teachings of the church, promotes the idea that families or couple or parents should be able to have the capacity to raise their children well. And on the other side, there should be an assistance whenever necessary, an intervention, if I would say, coming from the legal side or in a broader scale, the state or the government, in order for them to, realistically, as we have said, no, may nangyayari talagang some marriages won't work and interventions are necessary, especially when there are domestic abuses. So this call for intervention wherein state should have their certain program work, kunwari, no, the SWD would enter the picture. So in this sense, I would say that yes, both of this framework should allow this the well-being of family to happen. Pero syempre, it depends on how we implement those program that they are trying to lay down. Kaya naman there are certain programs just at least in our parish, no, na kapag nag-apply ka ng kasal sa simbahan, sa parish namin 'yon. Okay? Of course, there would be necessary interviews before you are recommended for marriage. Nasasabi na handa na ba to? And part of that, dun sa mga interviews na yon, ini-invite din yung community. Wherein part of nan is yung mga leaders ng community to also help out this couple to really see whether they are disposed. So I would say policy making is also important. It's a contributing factor in trying to establish well this institution. That's why we call it as an institution. Okay, so to realize those purpose, those two frameworks have to work together. Sir Jeff, you would like to add something?
Thank you, Sir Mario. So to add to Mr. Garcia's response earlier, the legal framework allows us to participate in the socio-political aspect of marriage and family. The legal framework is important primarily because it has been indicated in our study that majority of Filipinos are Christians. We may be belong to different orientations or denominations, but the point is religion has become part of our Filipino culture, and whether we like it or not, we think, we act, and we make decisions having in mind religious considerations, because this has been part of our social upbringing, so to speak. So part of our research suggests that couples who belong to the same denominations or to the same religious orientations may have greater capacity to resolve their differences with the help of their religious interventions, compared to those who are, syempre, merong mga non-active, no, or perhaps those who are non-religious, so to speak. We take into consideration as well that their faith in God or their belief in some sort of deities may not be integral in their decision making, no, when it comes to marriage, commitment, and eventually in their separation or divorce. No? But there is a strong indication that the theological framework is a contributing factor in the decision making of couples, whether they stick together, they resolve their differences before separating de facto or through annulment proceedings. That's all.
Yeah, very well said. So I really appreciate the clarification regarding the importance of both the legal and theological frameworks on marriage as an institution, and their impact on the intact family. Um, Meron pa po bang gustong mag-add? I think this is a very very important and thought-provoking question. But I think here in the Philippines, we are quote. I'd like to think of it as we are mapalad in that we have a big impact. We have a big influence of the theological framework compared to, let's say, our Western counterparts, wherein a lot of them medyo mababa na yung kanilang theological framework. Or so I think that's my personal opinion, but I'd like to think of our Christian upbringing as an advantage in that we have two important and highly valuable frameworks to work with in terms of the marriage as an institution. Okay, so we are really trying to move out from the theological arguments, and that is why we dwell so much on sociocultural arguments. So that's very much appreciated. And as mentioned earlier, the sociocultural arguments would also benefit in the society and in policy making. So malaking impact ng legal and sociocultural arguments in terms of policy making as well, as mentioned by Meryl earlier. Okay, so I think we have one last question from Professor Cruz Ocampo. Do you see literature that exposes or discusses novel perceptions on marriage outside of studies that focus on the indissoluble marriage, indissoluble concept of marriage and family as an important unit?
Ayan. Thank you, Doc, for that question. If you'd notice in the development of our discussion, we have at the beginning of we have cited the challenges, the modern challenges, the influences we have today, and especially with the advent of divorce. Okay. So we tried our best to look into some of the literature about the indissolubility of marriage. Kasi our focus is that the problem or our objective is focusing on the idea we're in. Is indissolubility of marriage just a religious perspective, or is it a sociocultural value? So we were looking for that. So regarding the as your question is looking for a novel perception on marriage, that is part of our recommendation. We're in for future researchers, we are recommending that there should be a quantitative research about these new trends, whether these new trends are already let's say overlapping the traditional one. Kasi nga we are presenting the challenges today. So going from the traditional facing the modern or the contemporary challenges. So nagis po siyang parte ng recommendation.
Okay, so I think that is moving forward part of their presentation. So maybe this is a challenge to all of us here in the audience. We may would want to undergo a research regarding these novel or non-traditional perceptions on marriage, and that is the recommendation from our presenters. Okay, thank you very much to all our authors for for our third presentation, and thank you for the extensive discussion in the Q&A. Now, our last but definitely not the least presentation will be courtesy of San Beda University's College of Arts and Sciences, Department of Theology. Dr. Noel Santander is a full professor of the Department of Theology, College of Arts and Sciences, San Beda University, Manila. He's also a special lecturer in the Applied Cosmic Anthropology course, postgraduate program of the Asian Social Institute, an Asian graduate school of social transformative praxis towards justice, peace, and integrity of creation. Dr. Santander gives seminar workshops on different potentials and functions in different higher education institutions. He has written Christian living books for K-12 programs and published several research articles in the University Journal related to cosmic anthropology, psi-phenomena, theology, and spirituality. To present his research on mending humanity's broken inner ecology, an integral ecology and theory in action towards ecological preservation, let us all welcome to the floor Dr. Noel Deseo Santander.
Okay, good afternoon, Dr. Julius. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, for a while, let me just fix my presentation, if you may, please. Can you see now my presentation, my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. It's in the title slide.
Okay, sorry. Okay, anyway, let me just start. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to share with you my research. and it is entitled Mending Humanity's Broken Inner Ecology, an Integral Ecology and Theory and Action Towards Ecological Preservation. Okay. As the background of the study, I'd like to say that we are but facing ecological crisis, and we all know it has a profound impact on all our lives, resulting in a rise in climate disasters, environmental degradation, and a rise in social economic inequality. Global frameworks such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals highlight the urgency of acting on this what you may call ecological crisis. Even leaders of religious institutions, the like of Pope Francis, is into this concern. In fact, his two monumental writings, encyclicals, related to the environment, the Laudato Si as well as the Laudate Deum, he emphasized the need for change. My primary concern is to explore how mending the broken humanity's inner ecology can help contribute to ecological preservation. And I have the following specific objectives. One is to understand human inner ecology and brokenness in the context of biblical Christian anthropology, its relation to the integral ecology of Pope Francis and the integral theory of Ken Wilber. Secondly, the objective is to analyze and identify essential elements present in different spiritualities, religious spiritualities to be specific, that may help heal the broken inner ecology of every individual. And lastly, to propose a conscious ecology workshop program that focuses on both conceptual understanding and practical practices aimed at healing the fragmented human inner ecology and consciously preparing participants to contribute to ecological preservation. As to the important theories, concepts that are so related with my studies, I'd like to present with you this framework and later the operational framework. I am very much into this concept of human inner ecology, as well as integral ecology and the integral theory, of course, of Ken Wilber. The integral ecology of the late Pope Francis, and this idea of human inner ecology. I may repeat them. Yeah. And we have the following ideas. No, it says here, having a healthy inner ecology is more likely to make conscious, sustainable choices in life, and especially relating our choices, our decisions to the big ecological crisis that we're into now. The exercises like mindful practices reduce accordingly environmental stressors, creating both inner peace and collective responsibility. Social action driven by a deep understanding of spiritual and environmental interconnectedness are but necessary to be given emphasis. And we are saying here as well that human well-being, collective action, and environmental sustainability is what is actually very much in need by us to give focus on. So the process of this research actually was the following. Starting from this humanity's inner ecology brokenness. In the context of Christian anthropology, integral ecology, of Pope Francis and the integral theory of Ken Wilber. And leading to this understanding of the inner ecology from different religious spiritualities, trying to understand how they do understand how they conceptualize this idea of inner ecology in relation to healing the brokenness of inner ecology, and further in relation to the outer ecology. This research is actually intending to be able to come up with a conscious ecology workshop based from what has been studied, no? And we are expecting that with this conscious ecology workshop program, it will help us to mend the broken inner ecology of humanity, and therefore it will help us to gain what you may call ecological preservation. Regarding the methodology I use, this research embraced an exploratory and qualitative research using a narrative inquiry approach with the help of digital archival collection and the so-called thematic analysis being used, treating the different narratives and literatures available from the digital archives. This narrative should be able to answer the following. One, how does the narrative describe the inner ecology of humanity and its brokenness? Two, what specific issue in the outer ecology is being discussed and needs to be given attention, and why? And lastly, what essential principles or practices are emphasized in the narrative that can be used to create a conscious ecology workshop program for ecological preservation. Okay, the results. From the available narratives and literatures in the internet, in the context of biblical anthropology, we have the following constituent elements of inner ecology. And referring to the following, the flesh, or basar in Hebrew, or sark in Greek, the heart, which is lev in Hebrew, or in Greek is cardia, the soul, nephesh in Hebrew, and psyche in Greek, the mind, which is in Hebrew is lebab, although it's kind of similar to the heart, lev, or the Greek word nous, and then spirit, which is a very important constituent element of inner ecology, referring to ruah in Hebrew, or Greek, in Greek it is pneuma. You can see from this table the specific ecological role of each constituent elements and their particular inner ecology functions, and how they actually can exactly influence the outer ecology. Just to cite one, regarding this constituent element of inner ecology, I'm referring to the flesh. It has its ecological role, which is literally humility, simply implying that because of this flesh, it is but necessary for us to accept our weaknesses, our limitations, okay? And then doing so, it will lead us to have a simple living. It will help us to reduce negative impact on others. Another one, if I may, the heart. Okay, it has this ecological role. It says moral, emotional compass. And we have this tendency, of course, to love. We have the capacity to become passionate and become sensitive to others. And this will lead us to solidarity with the other created beings, with other structures in this cosmic world. And then it may lead us to work for justice, even care for poor. Of course, included is the outer creations. If I may jump from here so that I can finish my presentation. And when we speak about the brokenness of this inner ecology, no, considering these constituent elements of inner ecology, still the body, the heart, the soul, the mind, the spirit. If we have this broken inner ecology, the tendency is we may have effect negatively, no, in the outer world or in the outer ecology. For example, if we have a broken body or flesh, it will always be about glorification of one's strength, denial of limits, obsession with appearance or productivity. And this is how it may affect outer ecology, overconsumption, environmental exploitation, disregarding bodily health and needs of others. For the heart, to say we have a broken heart element, we have this hardened heart, being indifferent, emotionally detached, and then apathetic. In turn, it may have a negative repercussion in the outer ecology, like having not working for social justice, but rather committing social injustice, lack of solidarity, failure to care for the vulnerable and the environment. For the soul, to say it's a broken soul or thought, you have this disordered desires, spiritual emptiness, you have the addiction to material things. And this may have an effect to the outer ecology. It may contribute to the consumerism, waste culture, quote unquote, viewing nature as simply a commodity. For the mind, you have a broken mind, if we can say that. Now, when you are confused, you have this much pride in you, very technocratic mindset, okay, leading to consumerism, over-consumerism, and then having a moral relativism. And its effect in the outer ecology may be the following: having a blind technological development, exploitation without ethical limits. Then lastly, spirit to breath. You may have this brokenness when you experience spiritual dryness, disconnection from God and others, and having a despair. And externally, it may result to loss of awe in the wonderful creation of God, and simply negligence of the sacredness of life. Okay. So very apparent from the presentation was the connection of having a broken inner ecology to outer ecology with the negative repercussions, of course. Now, this is actually the second and the third table later. And this concerns about the way the different religious spiritualities understand the concept of inner ecology. Actually, they don't have that specific and precise concept, but the nearest idea that we can actually get from all these religious spiritualities as far as inner ecology is concerned are being presented now on the table. In Buddhism, for example, inner ecology is somewhat related to having ecological balance within, mindfulness, and interconnectedness. Or in Hinduism, still interconnectedness, or the concept of Atman and Brahman, and the connection of our soul and with our Creator, having spiritual growth and peace. And for Islam, it can be understood in this way: inner ecology is having spiritually balanced and morally upright inner life, alignment with the divine guidance. And for Taoism, it's about duality and balance of opposing forces, the yin and the yang, within the universe and within the inner universe, oneself, and having a harmonious and healthy existence. For Confucianism, inner ecology can be recognized in this way: having a well-ordered inner life, leading to a well-ordered society. Jainism, in turn, has this idea, having an inner peace, purification, and liberation of the soul. And then the indigenous spiritualities. The idea of harmony between humans and the earth. These concepts of inner ecology in different popular spiritualities, of course, they have also understood the importance of having a healthy inner reality or inner self, because it will have a negative effect or as well to the outer world or to the outer ecology or to the cosmic world, if I may use that word. For example, having overconsumption or materialism, disconnection from nature, lack of compassion towards all life. If ever the issues regarding ecological balance within mindfulness, interconnectedness were not being achieved. In Hinduism, there would be this disruption of natural harmony, ego-driven exploitation of resources, ignorance of sacredness in nature. And of course, that will happen if there is no interconnectedness or oneness of the Atman and the Brahman. There is no spiritual growth and peace. Okay? The non-realization of the inner ecology as recognized in Islam will result to environmental degradation due to moral neglect, overuse, and pollution of divine creation. As in the case of Taoism, it will result to imbalance in ecosystem, loss of harmony between human activity and natural rhythms. For Confucianism, it will lead to breakdown in community and environmental stewardship, social injustice being linked to ecological neglect. In Jainism, if inner peace and purification and the liberation of the soul is not being given emphasis, it will lead possibly to violence against living beings, animal exploitation, overconsumption, and the lack of restraint. And for the indigenous spiritualities, having not achieved harmony between humans and the earth, it will result to land exploitation, loss of biodiversity, disconnection from ancestral knowledge, and earth ethics. Okay. Evident also from the result of the research, no? The very commonalities of the approaches from the different religious spiritualities on the issue of resolving the ecological crisis. To their respective culture, of their different respective cultures, we ended up with the following shared principles. Interconnectedness of inner and outer realms that is so emphasized. Inner balance as well, and having an ethical living, mindfulness, and being always conscious in life. Non-harm and compassion, and this principle of transformation through self-cultivation. From this shared principle, including the Christian idea of inner ecology, which I presented to you through this biblical anthropological presentation, no? It led to this conception of what we call a conscious ecological workshop program. And I call this as it's by simply vibes, no? That represents this idea of vitalize, inner balance, breakthrough, and elevate stewardship. The very theme of this conscious ecological program is preserving the earth through inner ecology healing. It has the following objectives. On the issue of vitalize, it tries to support individuals in revitalizing their mind, body, and spirit through sustainable energy practices such as eco-friendly living, physical movement, and mindfulness, all while considering the ecological impact. Secondly, regarding inner balance, the objective is to encourage emotional regulation, mental clarity, and mindful living, with an emphasis on ecological sustainability, teaching participants how to find peace while living harmoniously with nature. Breakthrough and this aspect and objective of the vibes is to guide individuals in overcoming personal obstacles, limiting beliefs, and environmental apathy, while encouraging active environmental responsibility, such as reducing waste or engaging community cleanup projects. And lastly, on the issue of elevate stewardship, Vibes has this objective to promote higher consciousness through spiritual practices that connect individuals to the earth, fostering an understanding of how personal well-being is tied to the health of the planet, and encouraging sustainable practices in daily life. So just to mention a few the program features of Vibes. It will have free weekends visitation and exploration of the ecological lab. Okay, perhaps you have done already or you have visited already the SBD Laudato Si Farm. It's kind of similar to that, but this ecological lab is intended solely for the education and the formation of the inner ecology in relation to the ecological preservation. Along with this, there would be satellite echo laboratory because not everything is but to be found within a given area. For example, satellite echo lab may be providing the much needed information and training and practices concerning fisheries or water and other elements. Just an example. And another feature is that there would be weekly themes with ecological integration. Okay. And then there would be this creation of Vibes ambassadors who will be in the forefront of conducting this Vibes program. And there will always be an eco-conscious daily check-ins among those who had already participated in the said conscious ecological workshop program, the Vibes. Now, the conclusion, the health of the environment is deeply linked to the inner well-being of individuals, the mind, heart, soul, body, and spirit. Inner disorder contributes to ecological degradation. That is why there is an urgency for us to look into our inner self, to be able to contribute in ecological preservation. Another, across diverse spiritual paths, inner healing is seen as essential for peace and harmony with the earth, affirming the universal value of nurturing inner ecology. Third, the study extends ecological discourse by integrating spiritual and psychological healing, offering practical tools like the Vibes workshop to foster self-awareness and ecological stewardship. Last point, responding to Pope Francis' call, this research underscores that through ecological change begins with a transformation of human consciousness, healing the inner self to reconnect with and care for the earth. And for the recommendations, this paper recommends that there would be this kind of integration of the inner ecology program into environmental education, kind of related to what has been mentioned by the second presenter, I guess, Dr. Lisa. And to be able to develop curricula and programs out of further research like the workshop that address emotional, spiritual, and psychological aspects of sustainability, especially for youth and community leaders. So this is not something that is limited to the school or the academy, but this is being offered standard to local communities and catering most especially to the young. Second recommendation, promote interfaith and interspiritual dialogue on ecology, encourage collaboration across spiritual traditions to share practices that cultivate inner balance and ecological awareness, fostering a unified ethical foundation for environmental action. And lastly, to support policies that recognize holistic well-being by advocating for environmental policies that consider not just ecological impact, but also the mental, emotional, and spiritual being of individuals and communities. Thank you so much, and good afternoon once again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santander, for that presentation. It's a very interesting and fascinating concept of inner ecology. That's something new for me, no? So thank you very much for introducing that to me. So in keeping up with time, I think we only have one. We can only have one question. So my question is, actually this relates to the vibes program that you mentioned earlier. Is this already functional in our university? So the question is, how can San Beda University formally strengthen our inner ecology, especially for our students and our faculty and our staff, using your vibes, the vibes framework?
Answering that, Dr. Julius, the VIBES program necessitates to have a laboratory, ecological laboratory.
The Eco Lab, yeah.
Yes, the Eco Lab. Not just one, which is big, no, perhaps 2-3 hectares in size. But also it should have, or we must have the satellite Eco Lab. No? And well, if there would be sponsors, there would be benefactors, that will give support to this program that may be taken seriously by San Beda University. Perhaps we can be able to pursue this BIOS program, no? But there's indeed a necessity for us to have this, what we call ecological laboratory first.
Okay, very very interesting. At least we are putting it forward here in the university. The focus on inner ecology, and actually, I just have I guess a comment rather than a question. In the concept of inner ecology, which is quite similar in medicine, particularly in functional medicine, in that you have to maintain a healthy body components such as, for example, a healthy gut microbiome, in order for the larger human body to become healthy as well. So I'd like to actually propose to you, Dr. Santander, that the healthy human body, the healthy body ecology, the basar that you mentioned earlier, it can have a greater it could be a greater mediator between the inner ecology, and then you have the healthy body ecology, translating both of them, eventually translating to ecological preservation. So this is something very very fascinating for me, and I thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that wraps up our 4 presentations for this afternoon session in plenary room or Zoom room 1. And that being said, I think some of the room participants have already started trickling in as well. So at this point, I'd like to ask everyone to please stay in the plenary room for the awarding of certificates and the closing ceremonies for the Research Summit 2025. Thank you very much to all our presenters and to all our participants, especially those who participated in the question and answer portion. So right now we wait for a few minutes before we start the closing ceremonies. Thank you again, everyone, and please enjoy the closing ceremonies. Welcome back, everyone, to the last segment of the San Beda University Research Summit 2025. In each room, we only got to listen to about 3 or 4 research presentations. So I hope you all enjoyed listening to newly created knowledge. But if you are still craving for more, please don't worry. Watch out for the upcoming Research Summit 2025 proceedings to read about all the other research presentations from the other parallel rooms. This will be shared with the SBU community very soon. To lead us into the tail end of the Research Summit, to present the certificates for faculty research recognition, as well as to deliver the closing remarks, let me welcome back to the floor the San Beda Vice President for Academics and the Director of the San Beda University Research and Development Center, Dr. Divina Edrelin.
Let me read the certificate of appreciation for all of you. San Beda University Office of the Research and Innovation and Research and Development Center Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is hereby bestowed upon to each one of you who presented for your valuable contribution as paper presenter on the research title, the title of your paper, San Beda University Research Summit 2025 as part of the University Research Week 2025 with the theme Transformative Research for Sustainable Development in the Year of the Great Jubilee, given this 25th day of April 2025 at San Beda University, Menjola, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Divina Edrelin, Director for Research and Development Center, and Dr. Fernandino Jose A. Fontanilla, Vice President for Research and Innovation. A round of applause for all of us, for all of us. So now let me give my closing remarks as mentioned by Dr. Julius. A jubilant and gracious afternoon to our beloved Rector President, Father Aloy, research presenters, fellow administrators, faculty, students, and guests. Our deepest gratitude to all of you for being here and making this Research Summit 2025 a tremendous success. During the parallel sessions, we shared insights, engaged in thought-provoking discussions, and forged valuable connections about the research topic that we investigated, which focus on issues like gender equality, healthcare, well-being, marriage, environmentalism, quality assurance in guidance and counseling services, AI and cybersecurity, AI in medical education, ecology, inclusivity framework by Pope Francis, emotional intelligence, quality education, climate action, and women-centric amenities in collective bargaining agreements. We have a total of 17 papers presented by 28 researchers from UST, De La Salle Manila, De La Salle Araneta, Jiang College in China, CEU, Trinity University of Asia, MMHEA Laguna, CSW Cabuyao Laguna, and San Beda University. To our plenary speaker, Dr. Rao, your expertise and passion in research have been a motivator for all of us at this summit. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and inspiring us with your ideas for transformative and sustainable research. Your insights have provided us with a wealth of information and new perspectives on how to pursue this field. To our creative book presenters, Dr. Larry Ambion, Professor Dennis Magubat, and your student performers, bravo! Your creativity and imagination are beyond expectations for us to understand and embrace gender equality. Surely, we need to mainstream and support further research in languages and literature the issue of gender. Salamat for your hard work on this. to the 28 presenters and other 45 participants. Your active involvement, insightful questions, and enthusiasm have been essential to the success of this event. We profoundly appreciate your participation for bringing your diverse experiences and viewpoints to the session. Your well thought out theoretical and conceptual models and framework of analysis have enriched our discussions and fostered a collaborative learning environment. We are sure your research work can lead to publication in either local or international journals of your choice. By the way, our Beden Research Journal, aside from being indexed in the Brother Andrew Gonzalez Citation Index since 4 years ago, Burge is now also registered in EBSCO Citation Index starting this March 2025. Round of applause naman dyan, no? We have published 60 double-blind peer-review articles in the last 5 years. To the MC, Dr. Migrino, session moderators, and Ori, RDC, Student Affairs and ICT staff, your hard work, meticulous planning, and seamless execution have made this summit possible. I can thank you enough for your dedication for ensuring everything runs smoothly. Your efforts are deeply appreciated and have not gone unnoticed. And last but not the least, to our Rector President, Father Aloy, your guidance, support, and generosity have been instrumental in making this Research Summit a reality for 8 years in a row. You have been a blessing for firmly believing in the vision of the event. So as we conclude this particular event, I would like to thank all of you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you at the SBU Research Summit 2026. A wonderful day and God bless all. Happy Easter.
Thank you very much, Dr. Divina Edelin, for officially closing our Research Summit and the San Beda University Research Week 2025. It has been very exhausting but informative afternoon, but all things have come to an end. This is your MC, Dr. Julius Migrino from the College of Medicine, wishing you all a safe and restful weekend. Let us all gather in solidarity and sing the Beden hymn.